Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 787. Although Qin Wentian politely said the word please, in truth, he was already trying to chase them away. He had obtained the secret of the 9 immortality bells, connecting immortal foundation through forging a weapon, defeating the strongest expert of the battle heaven's immortal manner, and forcing them to leave. Now Qin Wentian was asking everyone to leave this region. Does this man think that he is the master of the 9 immortality bells? The countenances of everyone gleamed with sharpness. The 9 immortality bells belonged to the Driftsnow city, but Qin Wentian actually wanted them to leave? The gazes of many turned to Pei Tianyuan and the Driftsnow city lord. This place was the Driftsnow city of the Jiangling country of the Cloud Prefecture. Pei Tianyuan and the Driftsnow city lord were both here, but Qin Wentian actually wanted them to leave? Jiangling King, city lord, this man isn't polite at all. He already thinks that he is the master of this place. At this moment Jiang Yin spoke, as though he was intentionally stirring up conflict. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he stared at Jiang Yin, who spoke. After which, a towering light radiated from him as that incomparably gigantic Qin Wentian brandished a divine spear and shot out explosively towards Jiang Yin. Beside Jiang Yin, there were many experts from the Jiang clan. One of them took out an immortal rank divine weapon that shone with resplendent immortal light, akin to the radiance of the sun, causing the entire space to be lit up with destructive flames. With a thunderous boom, the two attacks collided together as destructive shockwaves gushed forth, engulfing this entire space. Jiang Yin was protected by the immortal light as his countenance turned ashen. You don't have the qualifications to speak here. If it wasn't for your elders protecting you, killing you would be as easy as stepping on an ant. Qin Wentian pointed his spear at Jiang Yin as he mocked. During these few days, Jiang Yin had already lost all face. Now that he was humiliated by Qin Wentian once again, he was so angered that his entire body was trembling. However, what Qin Wentian said was the truth. Given the combat prowess Qin Wentian displayed, he could even kill immortals with the help of the 9 immortality bells. He, Jiang Yin, wouldn't be able to withstand a single strike. If there wasn't an expert protecting him, a single strike from Qin Wentian was enough to kill him, Jiang Yin. Hence, although Jiang Yin was incomparably angry, he could only sullenly remain silent. He had no way to refute Qin Wentian's words. Sir, the location of the 9 immortality bells belongs to the Driftsnow city. Everyone can comprehend the 9 immortality bells here. It doesn't seem appropriate for you to ask us to leave. The city lord of the Driftsnow city suddenly spoke. As the city lord of a city, his strength was naturally extremely powerful. However, the capabilities displayed by Qin Wentian made him, as the city lord, not dare to underestimate him. It was just that Qin Wentian invited them to leave which made him, the city lord of the Driftsnow city, somewhat unhappy. In the 9 immortality bells, who would have the qualifications to ask him, the city lord, to leave? In addition, the Jiangling king of the Jiangling country, Pei Tianyuan, was right beside him. Hence he had to say these words. The 9 immortality bells, as well as the entire Driftsnow city, were left behind by the Driftsnow master in the past. When has there ever been a master before? The 9 immortality bells have existed in the Driftsnow city for countless years, and are considered a miraculous realm. Naturally, only those who are capable would be able to obtain it. Now, I've already unraveled the secrets of the 9 immortality bells, and received the will of the Driftsnow master to protect this place in his stead. What I'm doing is only right and proper. What's inappropriate about it? Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the city lord of the Driftsnow city, neither servile nor overbearing. His words were spoken openly and openly. The Driftsnow master not only wanted him to protect the 9 immortality bells, he also wanted him to protect the ancient Driftsnow city from intruders. The Driftsnow master and Immortal Jade used their lives to refine this city. Now it could be said that this city was already in his hands. You received the will of the Driftsnow master? The eyes of the Driftsnow city lord flashed as he stared at Qin Wentian. Yes, Qin Wentian replied. When I was in the 9 immortality bells, I received the will of the Driftsnow master. I can borrow the power of the Driftsnow master to connect with immortals, killing immortal foundation experts and protecting the 9 immortality bells. If there are still people coveting the secrets of the 9 immortality bells and want to search my memories, I will spare no expense and use my strongest killing techniques. Qin Wentian's voice was solemn. The spectators from afar were all stunned as they sighed in their hearts. Indeed, this young man had already obtained the secret of the 9 immortality bells and the will of the Driftsnow Master. No wonder he had such tyrannical combat prowess. However, this was only normal. There was a rumor since ancient times that if one could connect with immortality through forging a weapon, they would have a chance to ascend to immortality in a single step. It was just that no one had managed to do so even after countless years. This young man had already displayed his transcendent talent when he was being pursued by Jiang Yan and the other heaven-chosen of the Jiang clan. Not only that, he also managed to connect with immortality through forging a weapon, causing a divine weapon to appear before the 9 immortality bells. It was only logical that he obtained the secrets of the 9 immortality bells. There was no way to refute his words. The 9 immortality bells as well as the ancient Driftsnow city were all created by the Driftsnow Master. Since Qin Wentian inherited everything, he naturally had the qualifications to expel his guests, telling those who coveted the secrets of the 9 immortality bells to leave this place. How can you prove that you have obtained the will of the Driftsnow Master? At this moment, Han Dongjiang from the 9 Mountain Immortal Manor questioned. Back then during the banquet, he told Pei Yu that Qin Wentian didn't have the qualifications to oppose them, or only death would await him. Evidently, under the circumstances back then, they viewed the geniuses from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture as equals and Qin Wentian didn't have the qualifications to speak to them. Hence, they naturally looked down on Qin Wentian. But from the looks of things today, his words back then were akin to smacking his face. When he saw the young man he looked down on earlier suddenly borrowing the power of the 9 immortality bells to become so powerful, he couldn't help but feel a trace of reluctance in his heart. Naturally, there was also a hint of jealousy in his heart. If the earlier battle still isn't enough to prove it, do you want to try? Qin Wentian swept a glance at him as he coldly spoke. Momentarily, Han Dongjiang snorted coldly, but he was speechless. Qin Wentian, with a cultivation base at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon, forged an immortal-ranked weapon and killed an immortal foundation expert. Everything happened right before his eyes. Was there still a need to prove anything? Pei Tianyuan's eyes flickered. After a moment of silence he spoke. Since you have obtained the will of the Driftsnow Master, it can be considered a stroke of good fortune. Since the secret of the 9 immortality bells has been unraveled by you, I hope you won't bring shame to the name of the Driftsnow Master. As the sound of his voice faded, Pei Tianyuan turned and departed, leaving in a carefree manner. Although there were experts from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture who came here, in truth, Pei Tianyuan was the Jiangling County Lord. His strength could still be considered at the peak. And now, even he was willing to leave. Ji Kong cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian before he too turned and departed. After which, the Driftsnow City Lord followed after him. Since the 3 of them had already left, there was no reason for the other experts from the Cloud Prefecture to stay. The experts from the Jiang clan coldly glanced at Qin Wentian. After which, the leader flicked his sleeves and spoke, "Let's go." As the sound of his voice faded, the group of them departed. After which, the experts from the Myriad Sage Academy, 9 Peak Academy, 7 Sword Sect and the others all departed one after another. Not too long after, the experts from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture had all departed. As for whether they would leave the Driftsnow City or not, no one knew. But one thing was for sure, they wouldn't leave so easily. The crowd from afar was still there. It was impossible for Qin Wentian to expel everyone. Staring at Qin Wentian's silhouette, they drew in a deep breath, unable to calm down even after a long time. For the commotion caused by the 9 immortality bells, many major powers of the Cloud Prefecture had arrived. However, nobody could have imagined that the ending would be so shocking. A young man at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon unraveled the secret within the 9 immortality bells, obtained the will of the Driftsnow Master, connected with immortality through forging a weapon, killed an immortal-ranked expert, and expelled the experts from the major powers. All these scenes were like a dream to them. Something that seemed impossible was actually accomplished by that young man. His arrogance, his strength of character, his imposing manner of facing the experts of the Cloud Prefecture single-handedly, all of these were deeply imprinted in the hearts of many. If this young man didn't die, he was destined to be extraordinary in the future. There were even some who were thinking, what was the background of this young man? What sort of power or clan would be able to nurture such a character? Other than the spectators from afar, Sharon, Peiyu and the others didn't leave. They walked to the side of Qin Wentian only to hear Sharon speaking. Brother Tianwen, you are truly too much of a blow to me. I'm still trying to form an innate connection with the 9 immortality bells, and I'm already incomparably proud of myself for being able to cause the bells to chime. Yet, you directly connected with immortality through forging a weapon and even obtained the will of the Drift's now master. My luck is a little better. Qin Wentian casually smiled. The sharpness and coldness radiating from him had completely vanished. Luck? I haven't seen anyone with such luck in countless years. Mu Yan, who was at the side, also spoke. Don't be so humble, talent is talent. Since you've already solved the secret within the 9 immortality bells, you should have some things you need to do right now, right? There are indeed many things I don't understand. I need time to comprehend them. Qin Wentian nodded. Okay, the few of us won't disturb you any longer. We will stand guard at the side for you. Feel free to speak if you need anything. Mu Yan was straightforward. The other two beside him also nodded. Although Peiyu wanted to ask more, she endured it. The three of them directly bade farewell and left this region, only coming here to say their goodbyes to Qin Wentian. After they left, Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath and kept the divine spear he forged. After that, he directly stood in the center of the 9 bells and closed his eyes, allowing the boundless runic light to cascade down on him. 9 immortality bells, connecting with immortality through forging a weapon. Obtaining the Drift's now city, Qin Wentian's will entered the 9 immortality bells, and an instant later, the image of the city appeared once more. This was a true city that could be controlled by the will of the 9 immortality bells. Although I can sense the location of this city, if I want to fully control it, I'm afraid I have to refine the 9 immortality bells first. The 9 immortality bells are the soul of this city. Back then, the Drift's now master merged his soul into the bells. Qin Wentian silently mused. His perception drifted towards the city, the weaponized city that the Drift's now master and immortal Jade used their lives to create. In an illusory space, Qin Wentian's figure appeared in the airspace of an ancient city. This ancient city radiated boundless immortal light, as though the entire city was a source of light, exuding a dense immortal qi. Qin Wentian glanced over only to see that each and every building seemed to be constructed using miraculous methods and contained incomparably profound runic inscriptions. This city seems to have a unique form. Qin Wentian's countenance stiffened. His will abruptly drifted up to an extremely high altitude, and when he looked down again, his heart pounded violently. At this moment, to Qin Wentian's shock, he discovered that this boundlessly vast ancient city seemed to be in the form of a human, resembling the Drift's now master. The Drift's now master used his body to refine this city, and this city was like his shadow. That is, Qin Wentian's countenance was filled with shock. That incomparably gigantic silhouette seemed to be protecting a delicate figure, firmly protecting her. Was this figure the shadow of immortal Jade? Chapter 788. Qin Wentian stood in the air and stared downwards. A city in human form, resembling the Drift's now master protecting immortal Jade. This scene caused Qin Wentian's heart and soul to tremble. Back then, although the Drift's now master had a conflict with immortal Jade and refused to spend his life in the city, he wanted to bring immortal Jade to roam the world instead. However, his love for immortal Jade was so deep that it shook the heavens and earth. Qin Wentian sighed in his heart. Even though the Drift's now master sacrificed his life to refine the city, he still didn't forget to protect immortal Jade. Most probably, immortal Jade wouldn't be able to understand this feeling even in death. Qin Wentian sighed silently. He thought of Mo Qingcheng and Qing'er. How could the feelings between them not be deep? He and Qingcheng fell in love when they were young, in their most beautiful years. Back then, they were still naive and innocent, and Mo Qingcheng was still the #1 beauty in Chu. That period of love was pure and flawless. There was also Qing'er. She had always been silently protecting him and had never left his side. She would always appear when he needed her the most, and even before she left, she still sent a supreme existence to aid him. Sadly, the heavens didn't grant her wishes. Although she was asked to do so, The Dongsheng Heaven Emperor wasn't loyal at all and basically didn't think much of him. To the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, Qin Wentian was insignificant, not even worthy of a mention. He controlled the 13 prefectures of the immortal realms. Even the vast Cloud Prefecture was merely a single prefecture. From this, one could very well imagine how great the authority of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor was. He truly didn't need to care about a genius from a particle world. He could destroy a particle world with a flip of his hand. The Evergreen Kingdom Qinger is from. Where is it located in the immortal realms? Qin Wentian mumbled, thinking about that cold yet pure and beautiful maiden in his heart. Was Qinger doing well now? Qingcheng, who was in a particle world far away. After such a long time, she must be missing him, right? All of a sudden, a myriad of thoughts flashed through his mind. Qin Wentian clenched his fists tightly as his desire to pursue strength grew even stronger. Only with tyrannical strength would he be able to protect everything he cared about. He wouldn't be bullied, wouldn't be looked down upon. Pulling back his thoughts, Qin Wentian looked down at the city glowing with runic lights. This was a weaponized city, exuding a tyrannical aura everywhere. Over there's a human-shaped palm. If I communicate with the 9 immortality bells, I would be able to unleash terrifying attacks. Qin Wentian silently mused. His body descended downwards, the weaponized city created by the Driftsnow Master and Immortal Jade, using their life force would definitely be able to unleash an extremely powerful combat prowess. Right now, he needed to familiarize himself with this weaponized city. This vast city was created after the Driftsnow Master and Immortal Jade spent over 10,000 years to gather resources. The entire city was filled with divine weapons, and every corner of it contained immense offensive power. Qin Wentian was immersed in the Driftsnow city created by the Driftsnow Master and Immortal Jade. While in the outside world, the atmosphere in the Driftsnow city was already in an uproar. The mysterious young man had supreme talent, connecting immortality through weaponsmithing, obtaining the recognition of the 9 immortality bells and accomplishing something that none of the geniuses of the past could accomplish. He created an immortal-ranked divine weapon, and borrowed the might of the 9 immortality bells to kill immortal foundation characters, expelling the experts from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture. Everything sounded so shocking, but it was actually accomplished by a young man with a cultivation base at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon. This caused people to feel disbelief and disbelief. There were many people heading towards the 9 immortality bells. They gathered far away and saw the legendary young man quietly standing at the center of the 9 immortality bells, basking in boundless runic light as he quietly cultivated. It was unknown what kind of energy he was comprehending. This man's name is Tianwen. He once accompanied Sharon to the banquet hosted by the Jiangling King Peitanun. However, he was deliberately humiliated and made things difficult for those geniuses from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture looked down on him, feeling that Tianwen didn't have the qualifications to speak to them. Tianwen couldn't be bothered with those geniuses and left the banquet in anger. Hence, he came to this region and borrowed the might of the 9 immortality bells to sweep away the geniuses, forcing them to retreat. I've also heard of this before. Those geniuses had no one in their eyes, but in the end, their comprehension of the 9 immortality bells couldn't be compared to Tianwen. After they were defeated, they were still filled with unwillingness. But who would have thought that not long after, Tianwen actually managed to forge an immortal-ranked divine weapon and killed immortal foundation characters. What a face-smacking. Especially for Jiang Yan of the Jiang clan. He doesn't even know where to put his face anymore. Haha, it's very normal. Those geniuses came from the peak powers of the Cloud Prefecture, which one of them didn't feel very good about themselves. They thought that they were invincible in the world. Not only for those geniuses, even for the Jiangling King and Tower Lord Ji, how could they not stand on the side of those geniuses? Those geniuses had powerful backgrounds while Tianwen was alone. Everyone knew how to choose their side. If Tianwen didn't have such heaven-defying capabilities, he would have long been killed by those geniuses. This is the cruel reality. Yeah, although Tianwen managed to turn the tables, such a situation is extremely rare in the immortal realms. In the vast majority of situations, those who couldn't endure the humiliation would suffer a calamity. This man is truly an exception. The people in the surroundings all chimed in, discussing Qin Wentian's achievements. However, they didn't know that among the crowd, There were a few young men who were clenching their fists tightly as a cold light flashed in their eyes. These people were none other than the geniuses who were being discussed. They coldly snorted before turning and departing. They had no way to swallow this humiliation. Time flowed by day after day, but the major powers still had no plans to leave. At the Driftsnow Inn, experts from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture gathered here. Pei Tianyuan was here as well. At this moment, the Driftsnow Inn was extremely lively. The place where the banquet was held previously was once again filled with experts who had yet to leave. Fine wine, delicacies, beauties and serving girls were all present. Everyone, are you used to staying in the Driftsnow city? Pei Tianyuan smiled at everyone as he calmly asked. These old foxes were all waiting here, unwilling to leave. The secret of the 9 immortality bells had already been unraveled, and most probably, these fellows were all coveting the 9 immortality bells. However, no one made the first move. They were all very patient. If you don't make a move, I won't make a move as well. In any case, to these experts, let alone a few months, even a year and a half would pass in the blink of an eye. It was the same for them to cultivate in the Driftsnow city. Luckily for us cultivators, there's no place in the world that we can't cultivate in. An expert laughed as the others nodded their heads. That's true. Recently, have you all paid any attention to that young man in the 9 immortality bells? That young man has always been cultivating in front of the 9 immortality bells, and I have no idea what he's comprehending. Back then, the Driftsnow Master was a legendary character, and it's said that he and Immortal Jade created an entire city. Since that young man has unraveled the secret within the 9 immortality bells, there's a high possibility that he would be bestowed a treasure by the Driftsnow Master. Pei Tianyuan directly changed the topic. A smile that was not a smile could be seen in his eyes as he stared at the changes in the expressions of the crowd. And indeed, the countenances of the experts all flickered as sharpness flashed within. My king, can you tell that this young man is in disguise? An expert from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor asked. Pei Tianyuan nodded. Since this young man is in disguise, he must have some secrets. Why don't we peek at his true appearance and see what sort of character he is exactly? It would be best if we could find out more about him. If that's the case, he wouldn't be able to hide in the 9 immortality bells even if he wanted to. An expert from the Jiang clan coldly spoke. There might be another reason for him to disguise himself. In the immortal realms, there are many people in disguise. In addition, even if you really saw his true appearance, given how vast the immortal realms are, it's not so easy to find out more about an unknown character. Pei Tianyuan shook his head. Just leave this to us. Jiang Yin interjected. Even if he had to pay a price, he was willing to do so. Tower Lord Ji has a treasure on him that can allow us to peek at his true appearance. Everyone, you can ask him. Pei Tianyuan laughed. In addition, if we can't find him, what do all of you plan to do? Do you want to leave this Driftsnow city? Actually, given the strength of the Jiangling King, even if that young man borrowed the power of the 9 immortality bells, he would still be able to kill him. An expert from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor spoke. Pei Tianyuan shook his head. If all of you are willing to do your best, you should be able to do so as well. It's just that the 9 immortality bells are located in the Driftsnow city. Since that young man has already unraveled the secrets within, as the Jiangling King of the Jiangling country, it would be too shameful if I, as the Jiangling King, directly acted to kill him. Wouldn't I be the laughingstock of the Jiangling country? Pei Tianyuan coldly laughed in his heart. How could he not know the intentions of these people? During these days, the experts from the various major powers have been keeping a close watch on the 9 immortality bells. That young man wouldn't be able to escape even if he grew wings. Although they didn't act now, it was only because they knew that it would be too shameful for them to join forces to deal with a young man. In addition, if more Immortal Foundation experts were to die, they wouldn't have any face left to face others. Hence, these people would rather wait for an opportunity. In any case, that young man wouldn't be able to escape from the 9 immortality bells. He was already a turtle trapped in a jar. Hence, these people weren't in a hurry and wanted to wait for others to act first. For those who could become immortals, which one of them wasn't intelligent? They were all extremely patient. Since this is the case, why don't we invite Tower Lord Ji to take a look at his true appearance before making a decision? An expert from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor spoke. Right, this treasured mirror has the ability to peer into the truth. I will lend it to all of you and you can head over now. Only to see that Jikong was long prepared. With a wave of his hand, a treasured mirror shone with immortal light as it flew towards the expert from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor. In that case, I will make a trip there first. That expert from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor grabbed onto the treasured mirror and directly soared up into the air. His speed was as fast as lightning, and not too long later, he arrived in the airspace above the 9 immortality bells. He then aimed the mirror at Qin Wentian as a beam of immortal light flashed. Qin Wentian seemed to have sensed something. His eyes abruptly opened as a shadow appeared in the air. This shadow was none other than his true appearance. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows as a cold light flickered in his eyes. Seems like his true appearance was exposed, but he didn't care. He had already offended these major powers and killed immortal foundation characters. Even if he killed Zhang Kuang, it didn't matter to him. In the banquet at the Driftsnow Inn, the immortal foundation experts all turned their gazes towards that direction. Among them, the eyes of many froze. The immortal foundation expert from the Zhang clan directly crushed the wine cup in his hand as the killing intent in his eyes intensified. Bastard, it's actually him. The rage of the immortals from the Zhang clan towered up into the sky. This was a character who caused them to lose face to the extreme. Not only that, he even killed a genius from their direct line of descent, Zhang Kuang, in the worry-free city. Chapter 789. Right now, Qin Wentian was already listed as a wanted criminal by the Cloud Towers. Many cities in the Jiangling country had wanted posters of him. As one of the 3 main cities of the Jiangling country, the Driftsnow city naturally had wanted posters of Qin Wentian. Pei Tianyuan also started when he saw Qin Wentian's countenance. After which, a smile with deep meaning flickered in his eyes as he spoke. No wonder this brat wanted to conceal his identity, using a disguise technique to change his countenance, not allowing us to see his true face. So it turns out that he is none other than the wanted criminal of the Zhang clan. How audacious of him! The anger of the experts from the Zhang clan soared to the heavens. Many of them directly stood up and one of them spoke, "Everyone, let's kill our way over and plunder this brat's memories. Let's see what secrets the Driftsnow master left behind." I agree as well. Kill him. Since this brat is a wanted criminal of the Jiangling country, and had once killed a heaven chosen of the Zhang clan, even if we act to kill him, no one would say anything. In addition, this wanted poster was issued by the Cloud Towers of the Jiangling country. It's only reasonable for the Jiangling king and Tower Lord Ji to act to deal with him. Pei Tianyuan and Jikong coldly laughed in their hearts. These old foxes still wanted them to fall into a trap. Pei Tianyuan and Jikong initially thought that the wanted criminal of the Zhang clan was just an ordinary 3rd-level ascendant. Hence they decided to help. But who would have thought that this minor character would actually cause such a huge commotion, causing them to have a whole new level of respect for him. But in reality, there was already enmity between both parties. In addition to the wanted poster, they had no choice but to act to deal with Qin Wentian. Brat, you can only blame your bad luck. Pei Tianyuan's gaze pierced through the air, staring in the direction of the 9 immortality bells. Evidently, the Jiangling king Pei Tianyuan was already prepared to kill Qin Wentian, eliminating him from the Jiangling country to prevent any future troubles. Let's go. Before the banquet ended, everyone soared into the air and soared towards the direction of the 9 immortality bells. Other than them, in the 9 immortality bells region, the spectators were all stunned when they saw the image of Qin Wentian appearing in the air. After which, they heard the expert in the air staring at Qin Wentian with a cold expression. So it turns out that you are the wanted criminal of the Jiangling country, Qin Wentian. You once killed Zhang Kuang of the Zhang clan in the worry-free grass sect and now fled to the Driftsnow city. How audacious! Wanted criminal? The gazes of the spectators froze. After which, many people felt enlightened in their hearts. No wonder the image in the air was so familiar. So it turned out that this was a wanted criminal. His real name was Qin Wentian and he had killed people of the Zhang clan before. So it turned out that his arrogance was deeply ingrained in his bones. What a demon-level character. I heard that the reason why the Zhang clan wanted him was because he killed Zhang Kuang in front of so many experts of the Zhang clan and even managed to escape unscathed. How long has it been since then? He actually came to the Driftsnow city and did something even more shocking. He truly can't stay idle. There were people who knew a little more about the worry-free city as they sighed in admiration. Their gazes were filled with admiration when they stared at Qin Wentian. At this moment, in the central location of the 9 immortality bells, Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. His long hair fluttered in the wind as his countenance changed. An instant later, an even more handsome and cold face appeared, matching with the image in the air. Qin Wentian, who had reverted to his original appearance, was bathed in boundless runic light, appearing even more extraordinary. When he inclined his head and stared at the skies, the arrogance in his eyes was akin to that of a descendant of a divinity. "How handsome!" someone praised. "This demeanor, he's even more handsome compared to the image. He truly is an extraordinary character." Many people were attracted by Qin Wentian's demeanor. Even Peiyu couldn't help but tremble. Qin Wentian, who had reverted to his original appearance, was not only more handsome, he had also become younger. Back then, when she saw the wanted criminal, she already felt that Qin Wentian was wronged. It was clearly the Zhang clan who had committed atrocities in the worry-free city, yet Qin Wentian still chose to kill Zhang Kuang to save his friend. His righteousness could be said to be as high as the clouds. Who would have thought that Brother Tianwen is actually Qin Wentian? Sharon mumbled. He didn't mind it at all. After all, when Qin Wentian was acquainted with him, it was impossible for him to tell him that he was a wanted criminal. It was normal for Qin Wentian to hide his true identity. "That's right, I'm indeed Qin Wentian, the one who killed the trash Zhang Kuang of the Zhang clan, Qin Wentian." Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the skies as he spoke in a clear voice, as though he didn't care at all. At this moment, whistling sounds rang out unceasingly from afar as several experts descended, including the Zhongling king of the Zhongling country, Pei Tuanyuan, as well as the Tower Lord of the Cloud Tower, Ji Kong. They stared at Qin Wentian with cold expressions. This was especially so for the experts from the Zhang clan. Their killing intent towered up into the sky. "Qin Wentian, do you know your crimes?" An expert from the Zhang clan coldly spoke. Qin Wentian calmly glanced at him as he spoke with cold arrogance. "People from the Zhang clan, have you not lost enough face yet? You actually still dare to stand there and spout such arrogant words. Impudent." That expert from the Zhang clan didn't expect Qin Wentian to be so arrogant to this extent. He pointed his finger at Qin Wentian. "You killed a disciple of my Zhang clan, Zhang Kuang. The entire Zhongling country is searching for you. Your crimes are unpardonable, you deserve death." Ridiculous, pathetic. Qin Wentian coldly stared at the experts in the air. "Back then in the worry-free city, your Zhang clan used your strength to bully others, using the city lord manor as slaves to serve you. Among them, my younger sister was one of them. I wanted to bring my younger sister away, but your Zhang clan refused to release her. Hence, I acted and killed Zhang Kuang in front of so many experts from your Zhang clan. You won't deny this matter, right? Why don't you all reflect on yourselves and say that I'm guilty? Where does my crime come from?" Qin Wentian pointed his finger at the experts in the air as he spoke. "I'm guilty because I'm not as strong as you all. Just like that day at the Zhongling King's banquet. The various geniuses insulted me, but I wasn't allowed to retort. If not, that would mean that I'm guilty and wanted to kill me. Where does my crime come from? To put it bluntly, it's nothing more than a group of sanctimonious people like you who take advantage of your power to bully others. You bully those who are weaker than you, and if you encounter those who are stronger than you, I'm afraid you'll just wag your tails and beg for pity like animals." "Impudent!" An expert from the Zhang clan roared. The experts in the air all had expressions of rage on their faces. Qin Wentian's words weren't merely directed at the Zhang clan. They were also targeted at them. This young man was simply too insolent. They had to kill him no matter what. "Insolent?" Qin Wentian laughed. "You all say that I'm guilty, but who's going to judge my crime? Ridiculous to the extreme. I say that you are guilty." At this moment, the Zhongling king Pei Tianyuan spoke, his words causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. As the Zhongling king, Pei Tianyuan's words naturally carried a lot of weight. Zhongling king. Peiyu paled. Was this the Zhongling king's true intention to deal with Qin Wentian? "You?" Qin Wentian stared at Pei Tianyuan as he laughed. "I killed an immoral person from the Zhang clan. Yet you want to judge me guilty? The people of the Jiang clan use their status to bully others, raping women. Are they not guilty? Just based on your actions, are you even fit to be the Jiangling king? You are merely a lackey of these major powers. Are you even qualified to judge my crime? Who the hell do you think you are? Qin Wentian's voice caused the hearts of everyone to tremble violently. He actually dared to insult the Jiangling king as a lackey? How audacious, simply lawless. However, to Qin Wentian, he didn't care at all. From the moment Pei Tianyuan issued the arrest warrant, the two of them already had a grudge. If Pei Tianyuan didn't make an enemy out of him, he naturally wouldn't bear a grudge against him. However, Pei Tianyuan had always been helping the major powers to suppress him. His words earlier had clearly stated his stance. Although this was just a simple sentence, it represented Pei Tianyuan's stance. This meant that Pei Tianyuan was already prepared to kill him. If not, given Pei Tianyuan's personality, he wouldn't have made things clear at this moment. Since this was the case, what else did Qin Wentian not dare to say? Pei Tianyuan wanted to judge his crime? What qualifications did he have? For someone who wanted to kill him, would he still care? Do you know what you are saying? Even though Pei Tianyuan was insulted, he didn't fly into a rage. From this, one could see how terrifying his state of heart was. However, his lips curled up in an arc, as well as the sharpness in his eyes. All of these revealed the killing intent in Pei Tianyuan's heart. Of course I know. But do you guys know what you are doing? Qin Wentian swept his gaze over to Pei Tianyuan as he stood there with incomparable arrogance. Back then, I could already kill Jiang Kuang in front of the people of the Jiang clan. Now, I'm even able to connect immortal-ranked weapons, kill immortal-ranked experts, and comprehend the secret of the 9 immortality bells. Have you all thought through the consequences of trying to surround me? As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, the crowd in the surroundings gulped as their bodies trembled. These words caused the hearts of the crowd to tremble. It was as though there was a terrifying background behind him. Not only that, the things he did, as well as the talent he displayed, were indeed signs of something like this. Could it be that this Qin Wentian really came from a supreme power, and wasn't afraid of the Jiang clan of the Cloud Prefecture? Don't listen to his lies. Back then in the worry-free city, he did the same thing, but I didn't see anyone else appearing. Also, when he came to the Driftsnow city, he even concealed his identity. If he really came from a supreme power, why would he need to do this? That expert from the Jiang clan stared at Qin Wentian as he spoke. You are truly good at borrowing power, to be able to fabricate such a convincing story. The crowd stared at Qin Wentian only to see a smile of disdain flashing on his face when he heard the words of that expert from the Jiang clan. It was as though he didn't care at all. Fool. Qin Wentian mocked. But it's no wonder. For a character like you who came from an ant-like power, how would you know how a true transcendent power nurtures their descendants? Just like Jiang Kuang and Jiang Yan of your Jiang clan. Since they couldn't do it themselves, they chose to hide among the experts of their clan to seek protection. Such trash is nothing but a fake heaven chosen, incomparably weak, unable to withstand a single strike. If it wasn't for you guys interfering, I would be able to kill as many of these fake heaven chosen as I wish. You guys better think about it carefully. As the sound of his voice faded, the hearts of everyone shuddered. That's right, leaving aside Jiang Kuang's death, just take this incident as an example. If these Immortal Foundation characters didn't interfere and it was just a battle between juniors, given Qin Wentian's capabilities, he would be able to kill as many as he wanted. With such a comparison, the disparity between them was obvious. Saying that Qin Wentian was a disciple nurtured by a supreme power, and came out to temper himself was extremely likely. Qin Wentian stared at the changing expressions of the crowd as he coldly laughed in his heart. Even if it was useless, he wanted to scare these people to death. Even if they acted against him, they wouldn't be able to eat or sleep in peace. In addition, he didn't lie at all. For a supreme power like the Heavenly Talisman Realm, could these people even imagine it? Chapter 790. The arrogance displayed by Qin Wentian deeply shocked the experts of the major powers. Even though they were from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture, they couldn't help but feel trepidation in their hearts. If he really killed an important descendant of a transcendent power, the consequences would be extremely terrifying. The immortal realms were simply too vast. The Cloud Prefecture was merely one of the 13 prefectures of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. Although it was boundlessly vast, it didn't represent anything in the perspective of the immortal realms. In this vast immortal realms, there were many powers stronger than them. They couldn't help but feel trepidation. In addition, the words spoken by Qin Wentian also caused their hearts to tremble. In the immortal realms, there were indeed many major powers that used unique methods to nurture their juniors, allowing their descendants to roam the immortal realms freely, not caring if they lived or died. Such a tempering exercise would be extremely beneficial, and many major powers had done this before. Hence, they believed Qin Wentian's words. For a period of time, the experts in the air all fell silent, coldly staring at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian stared at the expressions of the crowd as he coldly laughed in his heart. He then continued, "A bunch of fellows who only know how to use their strength to bully the weak actually dares to flaunt their might here? How pathetic. Today I, Qin, shall stand here. If you all want to kill me, just do it. There's no need to waste words. But for those who dare to act against me, don't blame me for being ruthless. If you all really kill me, just take it that I'm useless. In the future, when your major powers encounter a calamity, there's no need to be shocked." Boom! As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, the sound of bells rang out. Boundless light flashed as layers of light enveloped his body, as though he was already prepared for battle. This man is trying to mislead the masses with his lies. He's definitely bluffing. It's not difficult to determine if he's telling the truth or not. As long as we capture him and find someone proficient in soul searching to read his memories, everything will be clear. At this moment, a voice rang out from the Jiang clan. The person who spoke was none other than Jiang Yan. When he saw Qin Wentian using his words to intimidate the experts, he felt even more unwilling in his heart. Also, he felt that this Qin Wentian was definitely bluffing. He wasn't a disciple of any major power, and was only trying to scare the experts away. If these experts of the Cloud Prefecture retreated today, they would become a joke for eternity. That's right. I'll search your soul and everything will be revealed. The expert from the Jiang clan coldly said, "Even if what you say is true and you really come from a great power, since they sent you out to temper yourself, how could they possibly send out experts for revenge just because you suffered some grievances? Today, it's impossible for you to escape with such arrogant words." "So much nonsense," Qin Wentian sneered. "I said that if you want to fight, then let's fight. Search my soul? I advise you not to do so. Otherwise, if you know some secrets that you shouldn't know, the consequences are not something you can bear. Your words are truly sharp like swords. That mouth of yours can even kill." The Jiangling king, Pei Tianyuan, stared at Qin Wentian. "But no matter what you say, you are still a wanted criminal of our Jiangling country. Do you want to follow us, or do you want us to act personally?" "Ridiculous." Qin Wentian mockingly stared at Pei Tianyuan. "You, Pei Tianyuan, do you think you are qualified to convict me? Since you dare to speak such arrogant words, I, Qin, hereby announce that from now onwards, the Drift Snow City shall be under me. I, Qin Wentian, shall inherit the Drift Snow City." Arrogant. Pei Tianyuan's eyes gleamed with sharpness. The Drift Snow City lord beside him also had a cold gleam in his eyes. He was the ruler of the Drift Snow City. Now, a mere third-level ascendant actually dared to say such arrogant words, wanting to become the ruler of the Drift Snow City? Someone go and capture him. Pei Tianyuan glanced to his left and right as he spoke. Let me try and see how strong the energy left behind by the Drift Snow Master is exactly. An immortal foundation expert from the Jiang clan stepped out. His body was bathed in an incomparably resplendent immortal light. His eyes were like blazing flames as he directly stared at Qin Wentian below. "Good, this brat's arrogance knows no bounds. We still have to search his soul, just don't kill him." Pei Tianyuan spoke. "Naturally, how can we allow him to die so easily after killing a disciple of my Jiang clan?" That person stared at Qin Wentian. Although his tone was arrogant, there was a hint of wariness in his eyes. The scene of Qin Wentian slaughtering an immortal was still fresh in his mind. He only acted because he wanted to test how powerful Qin Wentian was exactly. Only then would it be easier for them to deal with him. Rumble. Blazing flames abruptly gushed forth, instantly transforming this entire space into a world of fire. The flames in the air shone with immortal light. These were immortal flames, the flames of immortal foundation experts. They contained an incomparably terrifying destructive might, and every single strand of fire that descended was sufficient to cause a calamity of heavenly fire to descend. Not only that, there was a faint black glow within the flames. Just a single glance at it would cause one's entire body to tremble. As for that immortal foundation expert, he was clad in an armor of crimson flames condensed from boundless flames. Occasionally, a black glow could be seen on the surface of the armor. How powerful! Is this the might of an immortal's will? The spectators from afar frantically retreated. Even if it was just the aftershocks, they had no way to withstand it. As for those immortal foundation experts from the major powers, they were all enveloped by immortal light from their elders, protecting them. You guys come over here. An expert from the Wondergate Immortal Manor spoke to Sharon, Mu Yen and the others below. Their silhouettes flickered as they soared through the air towards the expert from the Wondergate Immortal Manor. Momentarily, that expert enveloped them with immortal light, protecting them from the aftershocks of the battle. Once the immortal flames of an immortal foundation expert landed on them, it would instantly incinerate their life force, killing them on the spot. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the sky. He took out an immortal-ranked long spear that radiated boundless light, containing boundless might within. Kill! That expert in the air coldly snorted. Instantly, flames that seemed to originate from the depths of hell coalesced into a terrifying demonic beast that could devour the heavens and earth. It directly lunged towards Qin Wentian, who was below. Bell chimes resounded through the air as a supreme energy congregated on Qin Wentian, causing a 10,000-meter giant to appear on his body. Wielding a divine long spear, he directly pierced out with it. Bang! The incomparably gigantic long spear directly pierced into the body of the roaring flame beast, causing it to disintegrate into pieces. However, the destructive flames still continued to descend from the air, rushing towards Qin Wentian, emitting a low-sounding roar that struck fear in the hearts of those who heard it. Qin Wentian's countenance didn't change at all. Beams of light flashed, protecting his body. Even when the destructive immortal flames landed on him, they had no way to corrode it in the slightest. That fearsome divine spear pierced through the air once more, as though wanting to pierce through the heavens. The immortal foundation expert of the Jiang clan was long prepared. With a stomp of his foot, the 10,000-meter-long flames converged into a fearsome hell spear that pierced through the air. Everywhere the spear passed by, everything would be incinerated into nothingness. Boom! The long spear collided with the blazing flame spear. An incomparably fearsome force directly shattered the spear, causing the countenance of the Jiang clan expert to change. He could feel a towering might from the spear, as well as a suppressive might. This was the reason why his spear was so easily destroyed. Staring at the spear that was still expanding towards him, the Jiang clan expert retreated with explosive speed while sighing in his heart. He had no way to defend against such might. Seems like it would be better if they joined forces to deal with this person. But at this moment, a demonic light flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes. He coldly laughed. Do you think you can leave just because you want to? As the sound of his voice faded, the light radiating from the divine spear grew even more intense. The long spear directly broke free from the giant's hand, transforming into a terrifying beam of light that shot up into the air. Careful! The countenances of the Jiang clan expert changed. They all stepped out, but they were still a step too late. The long spear shot out a deathly light, directly piercing through the body of the Jiang clan expert, who was madly retreating. With a thunderous boom, the Jiang clan expert died on the spot. Easy. A gigantic palm directly grabbed hold of the immortal-ranked long spear. His countenance turned ashen as he stared at the disappearing expert. You actually gave up on your immortal-ranked weapon to kill him? That expert lowered his head and stared at Qin Wentian. What a joke. This long spear was forged by me and it listens to my commands. Even if you temporarily keep it by your side, it would only bring you trouble. Do you think you can keep it for yourself? Qin Wentian laughed. The long spear trembled madly, emitting a terrifying immortal light, causing the people around to not dare to get close to it. Without an immortal-ranked weapon, how can you fight? That expert stared down at Qin Wentian as killing intent gushed forth from his eyes. With a wave of his hands, The experts of the Jiang clan all soared down as their killing intent enveloped this entire area. You guys will know after you try. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with arrogance. The 9 immortality bells vibrated madly as a gigantic bell fused together, enveloping Qin Wentian within. At the same time, Qin Wentian closed his eyes. In an instant, the light radiating from the 9 immortality bells grew even more intense, as though wanting to devour this entire space. The bell chimes rang out unceasingly. The attacks of the experts of the Jiang clan slammed into the light screen of the 9 immortality bells, causing terrifying clanging sounds to echo out, yet the light screen didn't shatter. What a powerful defense! Those who had retreated far away felt their hearts trembling as they stared at this scene. Despite the attacks of immortal-ranked experts, the light screen of the 9 immortality bells didn't shatter, protecting Qin Wentian. Gotcha! At this moment a crisp sound rang out, causing their hearts to tremble. After which they lowered their heads and stared downwards only to see an intense beam of light shooting over, so bright that it could blind their eyes. In the depths of the earth, countless runic inscriptions appeared, as though they were about to float out. After which, the earth seemed to be undergoing a transformation. The surface of the earth cracked apart, peeled off, and was replaced by a new piece of land, one that shone with boundless runic light. This is... Their hearts pounded violently. Rumbling sounds rang out as countless people soared up into the air, staring in shock at the scene below. All the buildings on the ground seemed to be on the verge of collapse, transforming into nothingness. A brand new city was rising up from the ground. This heaven-shaking change also attracted the attention of Pei Tianyuan and the others. Their gazes turned over as their countenances abruptly froze as their hearts pounded violently. Was this the Driftsnow city created by the Driftsnow master? The true Driftsnow city had always been beneath this city. Chapter 791. Ancient Driftsnow City? The countenances of Pei Tianyuan and the others froze as their hearts pounded. This boundless runic light seemed to be an ancient city that had always been hidden underground. We actually didn't discover it before this? The hearts of many trembled as their eyes gleamed with sharpness. This must be a unique method the Driftsnow master used when he was forging the city, concealing it. The boundless runic light was like a speck of dust before this. Only now did the runic light float frenziedly, resembling a long river of runic light. The experts on the ground all soared up into the air. The ground was crumbling, transforming into a brand new city. The Driftsnow city of the past was being overturned and replaced. Such tremors radiated out to a radius of 1,000 miles. Although it wasn't as vast as the Driftsnow city today, it was still the size of an entire city. Legend has it that the Driftsnow master and immortal Jade spent their entire lives to forge a city. Is this the ancient city that the Driftsnow master forged? Countless figures stood in the air. The ground cracked apart. They could only soar up into the air and stare at the ancient city below. The shock in their hearts was indescribable. So it turned out that the legend was real. The city in front of them exuded a terrifying might, as though it contained boundless transformations. This was a true weaponized city. Why aren't you guys acting? Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the experts in the air, exuding an incomparably cold arrogance. The light radiating from him grew even more intense as his eyes gleamed with an indomitable light. I've said it before. From today onwards, I'm the new Driftsnow City Lord. Without my command, none of you are allowed to come here. The Driftsnow City Lord turned ashen. The experts all stared at Qin Wentian. After which, whistling sounds rang out as quite a few powerful experts moved towards Qin Wentian. They even took out immortal-ranked weapons and launched attacks at Qin Wentian, frenziedly bombarding the light screen of the 9 immortality bells. Qin Wentian snorted. The 9 immortality bells started to revolve frenziedly, transforming into boundless runic light. The 9 immortality bells dissipated, leaving behind only a screen of light. Qin Wentian descended from the air, standing above the Driftsnow ancient city. Boundless runic light enveloped him, forming an incomparably resplendent armor around him. With a rumble, Qin Wentian's body grew even larger, reaching a height of 30 zhang. He was like a giant clad in resplendent armor. At the same time, countless winged runic lights shone on his body, covering him with a layer of dazzling golden feathers. At this moment, Qin Wentian seemed to have completed a magnificent transformation. His entire person exuded a divine aura. Buzz. The wings flapped and wild winds howled. On those incomparably huge wings, immortal light filled the air, terrifying to the extreme. As for the vanished 9 immortality bells, they had already transformed into a screen of light that enveloped Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's will seem to be able to directly communicate with it, controlling an entire city. Rumble. In the air, experts from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor attacked. Their attacks transformed into towering war chariots that bore down on Qin Wentian. These war chariots were incomparably gigantic, and there was a silver spear in front of them. Even if a mountain was pushed over, it would be directly crushed. Boom! Qin Wentian stepped out. Momentarily, the runic light of the Driftsnow city illuminated the sky. A golden screen abruptly manifested, transforming into a terrifying sky bridge, blocking the space above him. The war chariots slammed into the bridge, causing explosions to erupt madly, yet they had no way to break through it. Kill! Qin Wentian roared in rage. In a certain direction of the Driftsnow city, rumbling sounds rang out as the earth shuddered. Runic light directly soared up into the air, transforming into an incomparably gigantic palm imprint that could topple the heavens and earth. This palm imprint directly covered an area of tens of miles, and on top of it, there was a resplendent divine glow that seemed capable of crushing everything. The countenances of those experts from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor drastically changed. Towering beams of immortal light radiated from them, as their immortal foundations shimmered. Boundless immortal energy gushed forth as the war chariots rumbled, frenziedly blasting towards the palm imprint. The two of them collided frenziedly, yet under the might of that terrifying palm imprint, all attacks were shattered. The palm imprint directly smashed through. Rumbling sounds rang out as the immortal light shattered. Immortal bodies shattered. Under the towering runic light, those immortal foundation experts directly died. However, the palm imprint arced through the air in a beautiful arc, directly flying back and landing on the ground. It was still a piece of land, as though it was a part of the Driftsnow city. There was nothing special about it, and if it wasn't for the runic light, one wouldn't be able to see anything strange about it. Is this the Driftsnow city created by the Driftsnow master back then? How terrifying! Everyone felt their hearts trembling. The experts from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture also felt their hearts pounding violently. Today they could be considered to have seen for themselves that a city, a divine weapon city, a weaponized city, could be directly attacked. Pei Tianyuan fell silent. He stared at the city that radiated a radius of 1,000 miles as a hint of jealousy appeared in his heart. Such a powerful weaponized city was actually located in the Driftsnow city of the Jiangling country he governed. He actually wasn't able to control it, and right now it was being controlled by an ant-like character at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon, using it to threaten him. In fact, this person even boasted that from now on, he would be the city lord of the Driftsnow city, completely disregarding him. Qin Wentian, did he want to use this Driftsnow city to carve out a territory for himself? In that case, wouldn't he, Pei Tianyuan, lose all his face and be mocked by others? In his territory there was a place he couldn't enter and was controlled by someone else. Not only that, the strength of this person was so pitifully weak. In the air, the experts from the various powers exchanged glances. Right now, not only did they want to kill Qin Wentian, they also wanted to obtain this city. This city was created by the Driftsnow Master and Immortal Jade. They didn't expect that this city would actually be so terrifying. This was especially so for the Jiang clan. They were originally a weaponsmithing power. If this city was obtained by them, they would be able to unleash even greater power. Not only that, it would also be of utmost importance to the status of the Jiang clan. It would be able to raise the strength of the entire Jiang clan to a higher level. Right now, the grudge between them was no longer an ordinary one. This city is truly a waste in your hands. An expert from the Jiang clan coldly spoke. He stared at the people in the surroundings as he continued, "Everyone, this man is borrowing the power of the Driftsnow Master City to launch an attack. Let's join forces and kill him." Stubborn fool. Qin Wentian's voice was ice cold. In the ancient Driftsnow City, many places shone with a blinding light, blinding the eyes of the people. Chains of the city. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. A moment later, countless golden chains broke through the air, moving as fast as lightning. These chains seemed to be endless, appearing from every corner of the Driftsnow city, soaring up into the air. The people in the air glanced to their left and right as their bodies trembled violently. They discovered that all of them had been surrounded by the chains. These terrifying chains shot straight up into the sky, connecting the heavens and earth. The people of the Driftsnow city frenziedly soared up into the air. The sounds of the chains clanking could be heard as all of them rushed towards a certain location, ignoring them. As for the experts from the Jiang clan, they discovered that the chains were frenziedly coiling towards them. "Don't be trapped," an expert roared. One of them took out a terrifying saber and directly slashed out, severing the chains around him. The other experts also launched their attacks. However, they discovered that the chains seemed to be endless. Just as they were chopped apart, they would reappear again and were frenziedly coiling towards them. A few first-level Immortal Foundation experts frenziedly unleashed their attacks, but they discovered that the number of chains only grew more and more. They had already formed an encirclement, blotting out the sky and covering the earth as they shot towards them, wanting to bury them. "No!" a person screamed and shouted, "Save me!" As the sound of his voice faded, those chains directly bound him, resembling golden snakes coiling around him. From afar, numerous terrifying chains transformed into long spears that pierced towards his trapped body. The chain spears pierced into his body. In just an instant, his body was pierced through by the countless chains. The chains coiling around him loosened, and the body of that expert fell from the sky. Not only an expert, in just a short period of time, several experts were also killed by the chains as their bodies fell from the sky. Jiang Yan was currently being protected by an expert. However, the boundless chains were extremely troublesome to deal with, forcing that expert to retreat. Jiang Yan's body was separated, and he stood alone in a space. His countenance instantly turned pale. Swish, terrifying immortal chains directly coiled over. In just an instant, Jiang Yan's body was bound, and he was pulled downwards with terrifying speed. An instant later, Jiang Yan appeared in front of a giant. This giant was over 10 meters tall and was bathed in boundless light. There was a pair of resplendent wings on his back, and this giant was none other than Qin Wentian. At this moment, Qin Wentian's gaze was like he was looking at an ant, staring at Jiang Yan with disdain. "Spare me!" Jiang Yan's body trembled. When he stared at Qin Wentian's eyes, he felt a terror that came from the depths of his soul. At this moment, his life was in the hands of Qin Wentian. How can this be? How can this be? Jiang Yan's heart pounded madly. How could this city be so powerful? Aren't you very arrogant? Why would you beg in such a pitiful manner? Qin Wentian spoke in disdain. After which, he stretched out his palm and slammed it towards Jiang Yan. Jiang Yan stared at the palm, enlarging in his eyes as despair appeared in his heart. He screamed. Jiang Yan was truly in despair. He was a heaven chosen of the Jiang clan and had outstanding talent. He was heavily nurtured by the clan and was unexcelled in the world, looking down on Qin Wentian. But now, was his life going to be extinguished in the hands of his opponent? Miracles didn't happen often. With a thunderous boom, Jiang Yan's body was directly shattered, transforming into dust as he died on the spot. Qin Wentian retrieved the interspatial ring on his body and kept it without any trace of politeness. Since these people wanted to take his life, they should all pay the price. The Grim Reaper had already begun his summoning. Chapter 792. Not only was this the doomsday for Jiang Yan, the other arrogant geniuses were all separated from the experts protecting them by the chains. After which, they were instantly bound by the chains and sent to Qin Wentian. Nian from the Seven Sword Sect, Shu Luyao from the Myriad Sage Academy, Zurius from the Battle Heavens Immortal Manor, Han Dongjiang from the Nine Mountain Immortal Court, and Pei Xiao from the Zhongling King Manor. These experts were all bound tightly by the chains and had no strength to resist at all. They stared in terror at the gigantic silhouette before them as their countenances turned ashen, feeling boundless despair in their hearts. All of them were extraordinary characters from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture. They already looked down on Qin Wentian during the banquet, but now, their lives were in the hands of Qin Wentian. "You dare to kill us?" Nian's body that was bound by the chains trembled. Her face was still filled with a cold arrogance, but other than that, There was also a trace of fear, the fear of death. Qin Wentian, if you kill us, I'm afraid no place in this vast cloud prefecture would be able to contain you. You will die for sure. Xu Luyao coldly threatened. You will definitely not be able to walk out of the Jiangling country alive. Pei Zhao's countenance turned malevolent. Qin Wentian quietly stared at the threats of these people. That gigantic frame of his exuded a cold arrogance. There were no fluctuations in his eyes at all. The corners of his lips curled up into a mocking smile. Even now, you guys are still using your arrogance to mask the fear in your hearts. Qin Wentian's voice rang out. His eyes flickered with pity as he continued, a bunch of pitiful people, arrogant and self-righteous. Just because I'm arguing with you guys can already take my life. Now that I've already formed a death grudge with all the major powers, could it be that I still have the heart to reconcile? What a joke. As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, the fear in the hearts of these people grew even more intense as their countenances turned pale. They naturally understood Qin Wentian's words. Right now, both sides were already enemies. There was no way the major powers would spare Qin Wentian. There was no difference whether Qin Wentian killed them or not. Under such circumstances, would Qin Wentian spare them? What do you want? I can give it to you. Nian abruptly spoke, her beautiful eyes flashing with a devilish smile. Such a sudden change caused Qin Wentian to be stunned. After which, he mockingly stared at her. What a pitiful person. With just your looks, you are not worthy. Nian's countenance turned pale. Numerous chains pierced out as Qin Wentian's voice rang out once more. I've already given you guys a chance, yet you guys kept trying to take my life. In that case, all of you can die now. Not even in their wildest dreams would they have imagined that they would die here. His voice was like the chime of a death bell. As the sound of his voice faded, the sounds of death rang out unceasingly. These geniuses all came to the Driftsnow city because they wanted to unravel the secret of the 9 immortality bells. But never in their wildest dreams would they have imagined that they would die here. In the air, those Immortal Foundation experts were still frenziedly defending against the boundless chains. For those weaker Immortal Foundation experts, there were already quite a few who had already fallen. These chains spanned across the heavens and earth, destroying everything in their path. It was simply too terrifying. You are courting death. At this moment a fearsome voice drifted over. Qin Wentian only saw a silhouette dashing towards him. This person was none other than Pei Tianyuan. Pei Tianyuan's eyes gleamed with incomparable sharpness. His countenance was incredibly unsightly to behold. His killing intent was extremely intense. In the Driftsnow city of his Jiangling country, a junior at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon actually dared to act so brazenly, and even killed his junior Pei Xiao? Qin Wentian stared at Pei Tianyuan with no fluctuations in his countenance. This Pei Tianyuan was truly powerful. Even the boundless chains couldn't obstruct his attacks. But so what of it? He was already extremely familiar with this weaponized city. This weaponized city was created by the Driftsnow Master and Immortal Jade. There were simply too many attacks within. Pucci! A gigantic pair of wings flapped, directly slashing towards Pei Tianyuan. Everywhere the wings passed by, space itself seemed to be on the verge of being severed. Pei Tianyuan's silhouette flickered, evading the attack with lightning speed as he dashed towards Qin Wentian with his fastest speed. Only by killing Qin Wentian would he be able to unravel the power of the weaponized city. In this weaponized city I am the master. Qin Wentian spoke with arrogance. After which, Pei Tianyuan only saw a bright light flashing as Qin Wentian's body directly sank into the ground, vanishing into nothingness. There was a terrifying whirlpool there. Pei Tianyuan stood in the air, but he didn't dare to continue his pursuit. He didn't dare to guarantee that he would be able to escape unscathed. Bastard! Pei Tianyuan roared in rage. His feet stomped downwards as an unparalleled force blasted downwards, causing rumbling sounds to echo out. However, the weaponized city didn't shatter. This weaponized city was an immortal-ranked weapon, incomparably tough. At this moment, a terrifying destructive energy abruptly gushed forth from the whirlpool, causing Pei Tianyuan's countenance to stiffen as he stared down warily. Numerous fearsome screens of light manifested. Those were golden lightning bolts that extended upwards, as though they contained an apocalyptic might. Even for Pei Tianyuan, he couldn't help but tremble in fear. Go! Pei Tianyuan roared in rage as he soared up into the sky. After which, a thunderous rumbling sound rang out as the golden lightning barrier that was brewing earlier exploded. A destructive screen of lightning expanded unceasingly, transforming into an incomparably terrifying golden lightning net. Everywhere it passed, nothing was left behind. All the experts frenziedly rushed up into the air. One of the Immortal Foundation experts was a little slower and was enveloped by the screen of light. His entire body was paralyzed, and after which, he was stuck onto the screen of light. The golden destructive energy unceasingly blasted into his body, causing him to tremble violently. An instant later, he no longer had any signs of life. He was stuck onto the screen of light. The screen of light finally exploded apart, destroying several Immortal Foundation experts. Those who survived stood high up in the air and stared at the destructive energy fluctuations as their hearts trembled. Could this city still be broken through? It was basically impossible. In fact, they didn't even know what kind of destructive might this city contained. What they saw now was only the tip of the iceberg. Qin Wentian's silhouette appeared once again. He stood atop the Driftsnow city, staring at the experts in the air with a lofty coldness in his eyes. There wasn't the slightest bit of fear or respect in his eyes. Am I so easy to bully? Qin Wentian coldly spoke. In this battle, the major powers suffered heavy losses. They initially thought that a mere third-level ascendant would be able to easily kill him. But they didn't expect that the ending would be so tragic. Qin Wentian, even if you can borrow the power of the weaponized city to defend for a period of time, are you really going to hide in there forever? Pei Tianyuan's killing intent towered into the sky as he stared below. There's no need for you to worry about this. If you want to kill me, feel free to do so. But if you don't dare to, just scram as far away as you can. Right now, I'm the lord of this city. Qin Wentian icily spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, numerous arrows shot out from the city, piercing through the air with the speed of lightning. Careful! Pei Tianyuan's countenance flickered. He stomped on the air as a rumbling sound echoed out. It was as though a gigantic mountain was pressing down from the heavens. The arrows directly penetrated through. Yet they were all suppressed by the boundless mountain peaks. The other experts also relied on their own methods to defend against the arrows. However, the trepidation in their hearts grew even more intense when they stared at the ancient city below. This city was simply too powerful. With Qin Wentian hiding within, there was no way for them to kill him. In fact, the closer they got to the city, the higher the death rate. If they were the slightest bit careless, they might even be killed by Qin Wentian by borrowing the might of the weaponized city. We must obtain this weaponized city no matter what. The experts of the Zhang clan not only had an intense killing intent towards Qin Wentian, their greed towards the weaponized city was also extremely intense. The more they saw how strong this city was, the more they wanted to obtain it. Zhangling King, what should we do now? An expert of the Zhang clan transmitted his voice to Pei Tianyuan. The news of a powerful weaponized city appearing in the Driftsnow city would soon circulate. At that time, the ones who want to deal with him wouldn't just be us. Qin Wentian's life would surely be forfeit, but it's hard to say who would be the owner of this weaponized city. Pei Tianyuan transmitted his voice back, directly revealing the thoughts of the other party. Zhangling King, please lend me a helping hand. The expert of the Zhang clan spoke. After all, the Driftsnow city was the territory of the Zhangling King, Pei Tianyuan. Not only that, Pei Tianyuan had an extremely deep background. If he was willing to help the Zhang clan, the chances of them obtaining this weaponized city would be much higher. How can I help you? No one can predict what kind of storm would occur in the future. Pei Tianyuan spoke. As long as the Zhangling King mobilizes the army of the Zhangling country to guard this place and cooperate with the experts of our Zhang clan to seize this city, once we succeed, our Zhang clan would definitely not mistreat the Zhangling King. The expert of the Zhang clan spoke. Since this is the case, I will carefully consider your suggestion. However, you have to immediately inform the experts of the Zhang clan to come here. If we delay any longer, there might be unforeseen circumstances. Pei Tianyuan spoke. Right, the immortal since I left in the Zhang clan has already been sent out. The Zhang clan is already mobilizing their experts. Emicham, Pei Tianyuan nodded lightly. He glanced at the experts in the surroundings only to see them all standing there silently, as though they had something weighing on their hearts. This scene caused Pei Tianyuan's eyes to gleam with sharpness. He lowered his head again, staring at Qin Wentian below. This young man's talent was extraordinary, a rare genius. What a pity. He obtained a treasure that shouldn't belong to him and was destined to die for sure. Right now, an even greater storm was about to occur in the Driftsnow city, one that could truly engulf the entire Jiangling country. Most probably, the experts of the Cloud Prefecture were all preparing to head to the Driftsnow city. The immortal foundation characters of the various powers could all leave immortal scents in their sects, and could instantly inform their sect. Right now they were already doing so. Chapter 793. The experts from the various major powers all left, including Pei Tianyuan, the Jiangling King Pei Tianyuan, as well as the other major powers of the Cloud Prefecture, attacked the Driftsnow ancient city that Qin Wentian occupied. However, they suffered heavy losses and failed to conquer it. Far away in the air, there were still many silhouettes. They didn't dare to get too close to the ancient city. Once the shockwaves from the battle reached them, they would die without a doubt. This brat is like a demon, but it's impossible for the major powers to spare him. These major powers are all major powers of the Cloud Prefecture. Now that they have lost face, in addition to the temptation of a city, they would surely send their armies over to kill Qin Wentian. None of the experts here were fools, they could all guess what would happen next. This city was created by the Driftsnow Master and Immortal Jade. Everyone could see how powerful it was. Qin Wentian relied on this city to fight against the other major powers. How could the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture let go of such a treasure? Before this, the secrets of the 9 immortality bells were still undeciphered. Now that Qin Wentian had unraveled it, the experts of the major powers wouldn't be able to remain calm. Just those weaponsmithing powers would definitely not give up on this weaponized city. For example, the Jiang clan. Not only that, the enmity between Qin Wentian and these major powers was already fated to be irreconcilable. No one is allowed to remain in the vicinity of this city. Everyone, please retreat in case you get injured. Qin Wentian's gigantic silhouette spoke, his voice echoing out in all directions. Everyone was already prepared in their hearts as they retreated in different directions. A great battle was about to erupt. Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't allow others to remain in the Driftsnow ancient city. He had no way to determine who was the one monitoring him. Brother Qin. At this moment, Sharon, who was in the air, walked down. Staring at the gigantic silhouette of Qin Wentian, a bewildered expression could be seen on his face. Everything Qin Wentian had accomplished was simply too shocking. Before this, I had to conceal my identity because I was wanted. Brother Sharon, please don't blame me. Qin Wentian apologized. How could that be? I can totally understand. Sharon didn't mind it. It's just that, Brother Qin, the strength you displayed this time around is simply too overwhelming. In addition, you've offended all the major powers in one go. They must have already used their immortal senses to inform their sects and sections. Within a few days, experts from all directions would gather here. You have to be careful. I understand. Qin Wentian nodded his head. In this kind of situation, for Yuan Iran to remind him to get off the car, it could already be considered very benevolent and righteous. After all, at this moment, there were many pairs of eyes staring at Qin Wentian with hatred, including the Wondergate Immortal Manor. You have to be careful as well. Sharon transmitted his voiceover. Qin Wentian's expression flickered before he nodded his head lightly. The Wondergate Immortal Manor was the power that Sharon was in. However, Sharon was after all only one of the geniuses of the Wondergate Immortal Manor. Also, the weaponsmiths of the Cloud Prefecture had nothing to do with Qin Wentian at all. Hence, it was extremely normal for them to covet this weaponized city. It seems like this time the entire Yunzhou has been alarmed. Qin Wentian, this time around I'm truly sorry. Pei Yu walked over and apologized to Qin Wentian. This time around, the ones who wanted to deal with Qin Wentian included her clan, the Jiangling King Manor. In addition, before this, the ones who issued a bounty for Qin Wentian was also the Jiangling King Manor as well as the Cloud Tower. It has nothing to do with you. Qin Wentian smiled at Pei Yu. You guys can leave now. Leave this place and don't come back again. Sharon and Peiyu sighed in their hearts. Qin Wentian wanted them to leave because he was thinking about them. After all, right now, Qin Wentian had offended too many people. As his friends, there was nothing they could do to help him. Brother Qin, take care. Sharon clasped his hands to Qin Wentian. After that, he and Peiyu departed together. After some time, only Qin Wentian remained in this vast drifts-now ancient city. The others had all left and appeared at the borders of the ancient city. They stared at this ancient city that was illuminated by runic light, as the shock in their hearts couldn't be calmed even after a long time. However, at this moment, they only saw the runic light slowly dimming down, returning to a state of tranquility. That incomparably resplendent weaponized city seemed to have retracted its sharpness, transforming into an ancient city that had experienced the vicissitudes of time. There were pavilions, terraces, lakes, rivers, bridges, and everything that one could imagine could be found here. Staring at this ancient city that had calmed down, no one could imagine how terrifying the radiance it exuded before this was. Qin Wentian stood in the ancient city. He changed his robes as the 9 immortality bells appeared around him. Right now, Qin Wentian's eyes were tightly closed as his will infused into the 9 immortality bells. In an instant, there was no need for him to extend his perception to sense everything happening in the Drifts Now city. Borrowing the might of the Drifts Now city, he had the strength to fight immortals and even slay immortal foundation experts. Although he was incomparably arrogant in front of his enemies, he wouldn't be blindly arrogant. He was very clear that his own strength was still very weak. If it wasn't for the fact that he was borrowing the might of the Drifts Now city, any random expert from the other party would be able to easily squash him to death. However, Qin Wentian was never someone who would bow and kneel to others. Since he had already offended so many major powers, he had no intentions of easing things up. Right now, he was only thinking about how to deal with these experts. If the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture all acted together, there should be at least a few peak-level Immortal Foundation experts. Given the amount of power he could borrow from the Drifts Now city, would he be able to contend against them? In addition, there was a high possibility that the lords of those major powers were immortal kings. In such a situation, if there were really immortal kings coveting the Drifts Now city, how should he deal with them? All these were problems that Qin Wentian had to face. The city created by the Drifts Now master is truly marvelous. I need to see if I can borrow more power for combat. Qin Wentian silently mused. His perception sank into the 9 immortality bells as he contemplated. While Qin Wentian was cultivating, outside the ancient city, there were already many experts arriving. This was actually an army. Right now, the city lord of the Drifts Now city was leading the army of the Drifts Now city, and they surrounded the city, not allowing Qin Wentian to leave. Other than this, there were also Immortal Foundation experts monitoring Qin Wentian. There was no way he could hide his actions from them. The actions of the Drifts Now city lord caused many experts to feel that a storm was brewing. The Drifts Now city was still as silent as ever. Qin Wentian was still cultivating. Finally, when Pei Tianyuan led the army of the Jiangling country over, the storm grew increasingly intense. Outside the ancient Drifts Now city, immortal light could be seen everywhere. Experts were as common as clouds, staring at the ancient city, staring at the silhouette of Qin Wentian. So many Immortal Foundation experts. Is this the strength of the Jiangling country? The hearts of everyone trembled. Pei Tianyuan was the Jiangling king of the Jiangling country, and his personal strength was extremely high. He led an army of over 100 Immortal Foundation experts. In the Drifts Now city, this was definitely an extremely powerful force, capable of sweeping through everything. This time around, Qin Wentian is truly in for it. He can only sit here and wait for death. There's no way for him to survive. What a pity. Someone stared at the ancient city, unable to see Qin Wentian's silhouette, feeling pity for him. Such a lineup was merely the vanguard, surrounding the ancient city. When the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture arrived, Qin Wentian would have no way to escape. No matter how powerful this ancient city was, how could it stand up against the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture? However, Qin Wentian's cultivation base was only at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon. Being able to cause such a storm in the Cloud Prefecture with his strength alone, even if he died, it was already enough for him to be proud. The Jiangling king, Pei Tianyuan, ordered his subordinates to spread out. After that, the Immortal Foundation experts started to surround the ancient city, wanting to surround it so tightly that not even wind and rain could pass through. And at this moment, from afar, terrifying sword chi could be heard whistling over. Inclining their heads, they only saw a majestic army flying over. This army was all riding on swords, their speed as fast as lightning. Immortal light revolved around them, and none of them weren't Immortal Foundation experts. This formation was truly terrifying, causing the hearts of those who saw it to tremble. The experts of the Seven Sword Sect have arrived. The hearts of everyone trembled. The sword chi from the experts of the Seven Sword Sect towered up into the sky, exuding a terrifying might. There were 7 people in the lead, each wielding a sword. Each of them radiated a sharpness that radiated from their bodies. 7 sword elders. Pei Tianyuan's eyes flashed. Seems like these major powers of the Cloud Prefecture were truly determined. The 7 sword elders of the Seven Sword Sect actually came here personally. Pei King. The 7 sword elders flew over to Pei Tianyuan and called out. Pei Tianyuan inclined his head and stared at the 7 of them. I didn't expect the 7 sword elders to personally come here. The Driftsnow city isn't far away from our 7 sword sect. We naturally have to make a trip there. Pei King, this is your territory. If you want to act against him, our 7 sword sect naturally won't contend against you. But since you don't want to seize it, we will act against you. One of the elders from the 7 sword sect spoke, his voice filled with sharpness and sharpness. The expressions of everyone changed, silently musing at the wisdom of this 7 sword sect elder. Pei Tianyuan surrounded the city, but everyone understood that it was impossible for Pei Tianyuan to conquer it with his current strength. The 7 sword sect first gave face to the 7 sword sect, allowing Pei Tianyuan to act first. If Pei Tianyuan didn't act, then the 7 sword sect would act. In this case, Pei Tianyuan had no way to say the word no. Pei Tianyuan silently cursed Old Fox in his heart, yet a faint smile could be seen on his face. Although I, Pei, am the king of the Jiangling country, I don't have much interest in the weaponized city. If the 7 sword sect is interested, feel free to go ahead and seize it. This city shall belong to the strongest. What a good belong to the strongest. Since this is the case, many thanks to Pei King. The experts clasped their hands to Pei Tianyuan. After which, sword chi held as a group of them directly slaughtered their way into the ancient Driftsnow city. Busy. Abruptly, the entire Driftsnow city lit up as resplendent runic lights flashed. In just an instant, countless chains frenziedly swept out towards the experts from the 7 sword sect, wanting to isolate them from the outside world. Form the 7 sword formation. The elders of the 7 sword sect dispersed, each with their experts standing behind them. Immortal light shone as they transformed into 7 identical sword formations. The experts in each sword formation fused as one, resembling an indomitable sharp sword that advanced forward. The chains swept over, but they had no way to obstruct these experts. The chains were all slashed apart by the sword formation, like a hot knife cutting through butter, directly killing their way towards the center of the ancient city, where the 9 immortality bells were located. The eyes of the 7 elders of the 7 sword sect gleamed with sharpness. They knew that the experts from the various powers were already rushing over. Hence, they traveled day and night, and because of their geographical advantage, they were the first to arrive here. In that case, it would be best for them to use the shortest amount of time to end the battle and kill Qin Wentian. Chapter 794. Qin Wentian stood in the center of the 9 immortality bells. Boundless runic light shone on Qin Wentian, enveloping him in a layer of resplendent armor. Right now, his eyes were tightly closed, but he could still clearly see the situation ahead through the 9 immortality bells. The 7 sword elders of the 7 sword sect were rushing over, each of them forming a sword formation that exuded boundless might. Their strength was so terrifying that it was terrifying. Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath as his will frenziedly gushed forth. The ancient city grew even more resplendent as rumbling sounds echoed out. Golden ramparts appeared unceasingly, blocking the path of those experts. Bang bang bang. The 7 sword elders were extremely intelligent. They already knew how strong this city was, hence, they didn't allow any of them to move alone. The might of their sword formation was so strong that even the golden ramparts of the Driftsnow city wouldn't be able to block them. Golden light filled the skies as the sounds of shattering rang out unceasingly. In the illusory space, Qin Wentian's gigantic body stood above the ancient city. He was controlling the Driftsnow city through the 9 immortality bells. Only to see him waving his hands as he stepped out. A moment later, countless buildings lit up as golden diagrams appeared in the Driftsnow city. These diagrams were extremely gigantic, resembling golden-winged rocks that were forged from pure gold. Rise! Qin Wentian lifted both of his palms. Buzzing sounds rang out unceasingly as numerous golden-winged rocks soared up into the air. With a long screech, the golden-winged rocks slashed through the air, aiming for the 7 swords formation. The wings of the golden-winged rocks slashed through the sword formation, causing sizzling sounds to ring out. However, the sword formation penetrated through everything, directly penetrating through the body of the golden-winged rocks, showing no mercy at all. This was the aura of a true swordsman, indomitable. How powerful! Qin Wentian silently mused, but his countenance was as calm as ever. The countless golden-winged rocks converged into an incomparably terrifying rock that blotted out the skies. Its wings reached a length of 10,000 meters, and as it swept out, it exuded boundless might, akin to a bolt of golden lightning. Chi! A piercing sound rang out as the sword formation finally broke apart. However, the experts from the 7 sword elders didn't stop. Each of them wielded a sword and continued their slaughter. They could already see the silhouettes of Qin Wentian within the 9 immortality bells. Not long after, they would be able to kill him and seize the city. The gigantic wings of the golden-winged rock frenziedly slashed out, shattering the 7 swords formation. After that, countless chains shot out from the Driftsnow city, binding the weaker experts and dragging them into the Driftsnow city. Kill! Kill! 7 voices rang out at the same time. The 7 sword elders roared in unison as 7 sharp swords shot through the air, instantly landing on the gigantic body of the great rock. The 7 swords fused into one, their might shaking the heavens. Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out as the 7 swords pierced into the body of the great rock. However, the great rock still slashed out with its wings, as if it didn't know pain or fear. The countenances of the 7 sword elders didn't panic. Immortal light flashed from their bodies as layers of immortal foundations shimmered in and out of existence, containing boundless immortal energy. The 7 of them stood in a row. Their immortal foundations trembled as they soared into the air. A supreme might gushed forth, slamming into an impenetrable wall of the void. After that, the 7 sword elders soared through the air as a suppressive destructive might envelop this entire space, exuding boundless sword might that could annihilate everything. Only to see that the gigantic body of the golden-winged rock trembled violently before disintegrating into pieces. However, at the same time, when he turned his head and glanced at the other disciples of the 7 sword sect, he discovered that more than half of them had already died. This caused their hearts to tremble, but it only strengthened their resolve to seize the city. Initially, they thought that with the might of the 7 swords formation, they would be able to sweep through everything and kill Qin Wentian with a single sword strike. Who would have thought that there would be a mishap causing so many of them to lose their lives? The killing intent in their eyes towered up into the sky. The silhouettes of the 7 of them flickered as their swords returned to their sheaths. The sharpness of their eyes seemed capable of penetrating through Qin Wentian's body. Seems like my strength is still too weak. It's not enough to unleash the full might of the Driftsnow city, Qin Wentian silently mused. Although he could communicate with the 9 immortality bells with his will and control the Driftsnow city, the strength of his will would determine the strength of his control over the weaponized city, as well as the strength of his will. If he could step into the immortal foundation realm, only then would he be able to unleash the true might of this city. Staring at the 7 sword elders rushing over with lightning speed, Qin Wentian took out the demon sword and sliced open his palm. Fresh blood dripped down, landing on the ground of the Driftsnow city. Driftsnow master, lend me your strength. Qin Wentian squatted down and tapped his fingers on the ground. Instantly, boundless runic light flowed towards him as the armor he was clad in grew even more resplendent. His body also grew larger as boundless light enveloped him. Qin Wentian was clad in an incomparably resplendent armor, as he transformed into a 1,000-meter-tall giant. Boom! Stepping out, the bell chimes reverberated unceasingly. With him in the center, a fearsome screen of light towered up into the sky, causing the entire city to be engulfed in golden light. Rumble on the ground, streams of light flashed as the divine spear Qin Wentian forged expanded in size. The golden runes on the spear transformed into liquid and flowed into it, as though the spear was being reforged, causing it to become even more terrifying. The 7 sword elders got closer and closer. The killing intent in their eyes grew even more intense as they stared at the magnificent scene before them. Boundless runic light shone with Qin Wentian in the center, illuminating him in his armor. This scene was simply too shocking. Even though their cultivation bases were high, they still felt an intense impact. However, this didn't affect their determination to kill Qin Wentian. Busy. 7 swords pierced through the air at the same time. Just like before, they were like 7 bolts of lightning that pierced through space, aiming for Qin Wentian's body. That terrifying light seemed to be able to pierce through the heavens. Such might was simply too terrifying. It was impossible for a body of flesh and blood to withstand it. Qin Wentian's gigantic arms waved as his long spear pierced out. With a rumbling sound, the entire sky and earth trembled. Such boundless might was something Qin Wentian had never experienced before. It was simply too powerful. The 7 swords halted in the air, blocked by the fearsome vibrational might. Although they were howling in rage, they had no way to advance any further. The eyes of the 7 sword elders stared at Qin Wentian as coldness gleamed in their eyes. They roared once more, "Kill!" As the sound of their voices faded, layers of immortal foundation energy erupted forth. A supreme immortal might abruptly manifested in the air, exuding a terrifying pressure. Boundless sword might directly pierced into Qin Wentian's body, wanting to shatter Qin Wentian's bones. Qin Wentian could clearly feel the fearsome sword might unceasingly piercing into his body. However, his body, which was covered in 1,000-meter-long armor, shone with terrifying runic light, seemingly indestructible. His feet stomped on the ground as he ruthlessly stepped forward. His long spear stabbed out as the 7 swords hummed in unison. The eyes of the 7 sword elders flickered as they furrowed their brows. A mere 3rd-level ascendant could actually borrow power to strengthen himself to such an extent? My strength is borrowed from the power of an entire city. Even if you guys have multiple immortal foundations, I will still kill you all. Qin Wentian's gigantic body spat out a cold killing intent. The light of the entire city frenziedly flowed into him. Runic inscriptions shimmered on his long spear as Qin Wentian stabbed out once more, causing the heavens and earth to rumble. Boom! At the instant the long spear stabbed out, boundless spear light erupted forth, forcing the 7 sword elders to retreat. However, the 7 sword elders were extremely terrifying as well. Although their bodies were as insignificant as ever in front of Qin Wentian, the immortal might radiating from their immortal foundations was sufficient to shake the heavens and earth. Lifting their hands, they waved their palms as a screen of swords appeared. The long spear stabbed out, unceasingly shattering the screen of swords. However, this screen of swords seemed to be boundless. Although it was destroyed unceasingly, it was also regenerating unceasingly. Qin Wentian's 1,000-meter-long spear could only force them back. It had no way to kill them. Imprison! Qin Wentian roared in rage. A fearsome screen of light manifested on the ground as a terrifying golden prison appeared, trapping the 7 sword elders within. Qin Wentian himself then soared up into the air, directly descending from the sky. Boom boom boom. The golden prison directly exploded apart. Qin Wentian descended from the sky, killing his way down. Every step he took seemed to contain the strength of an entire city, capable of crushing everything. The 7 sword elders madly fled in different directions, yet they felt a boundless pressure bearing down on them. Qin Wentian's gigantic foot stomped down, shining with a terrifying immortal light. Rumble! A thunderous boom rang out. One of the 7 sword elders actually had no way to escape and was trampled by the gigantic foot. However, a fearsome might erupted forth as Qin Wentian's gigantic body was forcibly lifted up, after which a silhouette shot out. This was none other than the 7 sword elder who was trampled on. His countenance turned pale as he involuntarily coughed out blood. Evidently he was injured. Go! The 7 sword elders of the 7 sword sect soared through the air at the same time, transforming into terrifying beams of sword light that soared through the air. In just an instant, they arrived in the air, staring at the gigantic Qin Wentian below with unsightly expressions on their faces. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the sky, feeling extremely shocked in his heart. That strike actually failed to kill this man? This man was merely a powerful existence with multiple levels of immortal foundation. Each level of his immortal foundation contained terrifying might. Scram! Qin Wentian, who had transformed into a gigantic figure, spat out. The 7 sword elders coldly stared at him. The 7 of them descended, but they actually failed to kill this man? This was simply a great humiliation. Seeing that the 7 of them didn't move, Qin Wentian stomped on the ground and soared up into the air. The long spear in his hand stabbed out once more as the 7 of them brandished their swords at the same time. When the 2 of them collided, a terrifying light screen radiated outwards in all directions. The bodies of the 7 sword elders were once again flung up into the air. They stared at the light that flowed unceasingly from the Driftsnow city to Qin Wentian as greed flashed in their eyes. Chapter 795. How powerful! Even though the spectators were separated by 1,000 miles, many of them could already see Qin Wentian. Right now, Qin Wentian's 10,000-meter body was simply too gigantic. Any of his movements could shake the heavens and earth, and when he stabbed out with his immortal ranked long spear, everyone could feel the terrifying sharpness of the spear even from 1,000 miles away. Naturally, the 7 sword elders were also very powerful. Their attacks were extremely terrifying, and although they seemed tiny and insignificant in front of Qin Wentian, any casual attack from them would give off a terrifying feeling. That final strike of theirs caused a shockwave that radiated out to a radius of a few hundred miles. If there were experts in the surroundings, they would definitely be killed by the aftershocks. This city is too powerful. It actually gave Qin Wentian a battle armor. His body is over 10,000 meters tall, and he even dared to fight against the 7 sword elders of the 7 sword sect. Many people drew in a deep breath, including those immortal foundation experts that Pei Tianyuan brought here. When they saw how easily Qin Wentian used the ancient Driftsnow city to kill the experts from the 7 sword sect, a deep trepidation appeared in their hearts. No matter what, they absolutely must not step into that city. If not, it wouldn't be them surrounding Qin Wentian, but Qin Wentian controlling their life and death instead. There was a short period of silence in the battle. The 7 sword elders and Qin Wentian exchanged glances. Both of them could see the cold killing intent in each other's eyes. Is it very interesting to send the people of your sect here to die? Qin Wentian coldly spoke, his words filled with intense mockery. Although the gazes of the 7 sword elders didn't shift, they already knew that the experts they brought here had all been annihilated. When Qin Wentian was fighting against them, he had also used the Driftsnow city to kill the others. In fact, the 7 sword elders didn't even know how Qin Wentian was able to control this weaponized city. This voice was like a ruthless slap to the faces of the 7 sword elders, causing their countenances to turn ashen. The 7 sword sect mobilized so many experts, yet in such a short period of time, other than the 7 of them, the rest were all annihilated. Not only that, even among them, one of them was injured and was trampled to the ground by Qin Wentian, as though he was stepping on an ant. If it wasn't for his strength, he would have already died under Qin Wentian's feet. But even though they hated Qin Wentian, they also understood that it would be extremely difficult if they wanted to kill Qin Wentian. In fact, one could even say that it was impossible. Although their attacks had already reached a certain degree, the battle armor of that 1,000-meter-tall figure seemed to contain the power of an entire city. Even at this moment, the boundless golden light from the Driftsnow city still flowed towards Qin Wentian. Just you wait. The 7 sword elders who were trampled by Qin Wentian coldly spoke, after which they transformed into 7 beams of sword light and soared into the distance. Not too long later, they arrived at the periphery of the Driftsnow city. When they glanced at Pei Tianyuan, a cold light could be seen flickering in their eyes. Pei Tianyuan so straightforwardly agreed to let them deal with Qin Wentian. Most probably, he knew that the strength of the Driftsnow city wasn't simple. Even they wouldn't be able to take it down. However, they couldn't blame Pei Tianyuan for this matter. After all, they were the ones who wanted to act first, resulting in such a situation. Closing their eyes, the 7 sword elders actually began to recuperate outside the Driftsnow city. Within the ancient city, Qin Wentian removed his armor and sank into the depths of the Driftsnow city, vanishing from sight. This caused the Immortal Foundation experts who were staring at Qin Wentian from afar to stiffen. This Driftsnow city was a true city. Qin Wentian just needed to casually enter a certain location, and he would vanish from sight. However, it was fine as long as he didn't exit the city. No one dared to act rashly. Everyone was waiting in silence. In the next few days, experts from the various powers arrived one after another. The first power to arrive wasn't the power that had a grudge with Qin Wentian back then. Instead, it was a supreme power of the Cloud Prefecture that was located relatively close to the Jiangling country. The True Dragon Mountain was an extremely famous power. They believed in the dragon totem and were the descendants of the dragon god, possessing the bloodline of the true dragon. This power was passed down through generations, and after that, they also began to recruit disciples from the outside world. Right now, they had already developed to an extremely powerful level with over 100,000 disciples in their sect. Among them, there were several thousand immortals. This time around, the True Dragon Mountain arrived on a dragon chariot, flying through the air and arriving outside the Driftsnow city. Their aura was even more imposing compared to the time when the Seven Sword sect arrived. Even the True Dragon Mountain wants to interfere? They aren't a weaponsmithing power. Seems like after the secret of the Driftsnow city was unraveled, even these supreme powers couldn't endure it any longer. The crowd sighed in admiration. The status of the True Dragon Mountain in the Cloud Prefecture was above the Seven Sword sect. They were extremely powerful. The Seven Sword elders glanced at the experts on the chariot as they silently cursed in their hearts. They knew that their Seven Sword sect's hopes were extremely slim. They were the first power to arrive, and if they couldn't take down Qin Wentian in a single breath, it meant that their chances of obtaining this city would be extremely slim. Reverend True Dragon is also interested in this city? Pei Tunyuan stared at the old man on the dragon chariot in the lead. This old man was extremely famous and had extremely high combat prowess. He was known as Reverend True Dragon. I heard that this city is extremely interesting. I'm here to take a look. Reverend True Dragon sat on the dragon chariot, stroking his beard as he smiled. His eyes gleamed with a demonic light as he stared at the ancient city ahead of him. He already knew about the matter regarding the Seven Sword sect. Not only him, most probably the other major powers also knew about it. Hence, even for someone as powerful as him, he didn't act recklessly. If he failed to take down Qin Wentian, he would truly lose face. As for those subordinates, other than those extremely powerful experts, ordinary Immortal Foundation experts would only be courting death if they entered this ancient city. Although that legendary young man was only one person, this ancient city was as powerful as a magnificent army with thousands of men and horses. Interesting indeed. Pei Tianyuan smiled and didn't say anything more. He continued to wait quietly. Finally, the experts from the Jiang clan also arrived. They drove their terrifying war chariots over. The golden war chariots gleamed brilliantly under the sunlight as they hummed in the air. Within these war chariots, a fearsome energy could be felt. Are these the immortal-ranked war chariots created by the Jiang clan? I heard that a group of war chariots could easily crush a group of Immortal Foundation characters, combining both offense and defense into one. How terrifying! Countless gazes landed on the experts from the Jiang clan. As expected of a peak-tier weaponsmithing power, this time around there were over 10 war chariots that flew out. With a single command, they would be able to trample over the entire Driftsnow city, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. Interesting, the Jiang clan is truly ruthless. Reverend True Dragon glanced at the war chariots in the air. It was very rare for the Jiang clan of the Cloud Prefecture to send out so many war chariots. This time around, just to deal with a mere third-level ascendant, they actually sent out such a force. This was truly rare. The experts from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor and Myriad Sage Academy also arrived. The battle intent from the experts from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor towered up into the sky, while those from the Myriad Sage Academy were much calmer. After all, they weren't a sect but an academy. Other than these powers, the Bloodflame clan, Blazing Sun Divine sect and other major powers also came. And these were merely the first-rate powers of the Cloud Prefecture. It was unknown how many of the weaker powers came. The gazes of everyone in the Jiangling country were all focused on the Driftsnow city. The major powers of the Cloud Prefecture were also paying close attention to this. Qin Wentian stood at the peak of the 9 immortality bell with his hands clasped behind his back. With a single glance, he could see that the outskirts of the Driftsnow city were densely packed with human silhouettes. Not only were there many people, there were also experts from the various powers. The entire Driftsnow city was completely surrounded. Only the Driftsnow city was still as clean as before, with only Qin Wentian alone. This scene was naturally discovered by the people in the outskirts of the ancient city. There were countless experts here for the sake of a single person. Yet in the vast ancient city, there was only a single person standing there proudly. Nobody dared to enter. This scene could also be considered a miraculous sight. Everyone, are you guys still not going to act? Outside the ancient city, many figures stared in the direction of the city. Reverend True Dragon sat on his war chariot, staring at the experts of the Jiang clan in the air as he spoke. Jiang Yi, I heard that you are determined to win this time around. Even with such a lineup of experts from the Jiang clan, why are you still so cautious? Jiang Yi stood on his war chariot. He lowered his head and glanced at Reverend True Dragon before sweeping his gaze over to the experts in the surroundings. Since everyone is here, let's discuss this. If we take down this city, who would be the one to control it? What do you propose? Reverend True Dragon asked. Whoever kills him shall obtain this city. No one is allowed to object. How about it? Jiang Yi pointed to Qin Wentian. Let's ask the experts from the various powers. Reverend True Dragon spoke. After which, he continued, the experts of the Jiang clan wish to set a gentleman's agreement. Whoever kills Qin Wentian shall obtain this city. The other powers are not allowed to contest for it. What do you all think? His voice shook the heavens and earth, transforming into fearsome sound waves that permeated 1,000 miles. Even for Qin Wentian, who was on the 9 immortality bells, he could clearly hear Reverend True Dragon's voice. His countenance was as calm as ever. No one could tell what he was thinking. Even though his opponent used his life as the wager, no one could see the anger on his face. I agree. The 7 sword elders were the first to agree. If it was a competition of strength, the Jiang clan and the True Dragon Mountain were the strongest. It would be very hard for them to win. Killing Qin Wentian, obtaining the weaponized city, everyone had a chance. I agree as well. Another major power replied. Very swiftly, the experts from the various powers all agreed. There were no objections. Their voices joined together, reverberating through this entire space, forming a towering pressure. Only Qin Wentian continued standing proudly in the city. In a certain direction outside the city, 2 silhouettes stood together. One of them was none other than Mu Yan, whom Qin Wentian was acquainted with. As for the other, he exuded no aura at all, yet he gave off a strange feeling. He was clad in black, and if one didn't pay close attention, it was as though he didn't exist at all. His gaze was fixed on Qin Wentian as a teasing smile appeared on his face. He silently mused, interesting to think that I would be able to meet a junior apprentice brother here. Being able to cause such a commotion, it's truly rare. I wonder who was the one who introduced you into the sect? This person was none other than Qin Wentian, a disciple from the Heavenly Talisman realm. Chapter 796. The disciples of the Heavenly Talisman realm all hid their identities in the immortal realms. No one would know that they were from the Heavenly Talisman realm. However, when the disciples of the Heavenly Talisman realm entered the Heavenly Talisman Palace, there would be imprints on them. Hence, the moment they met, they would be able to sense that they were from the same sect. The perception of this black-robed man was extremely powerful. His perception could clearly sense Qin Wentian, who was far away, and from there, he could ascertain that Qin Wentian was the same as him, a disciple of the Heavenly Talisman realm. Of course, Qin Wentian did not have such powerful perception to detect the existence of the other party. Master, these people are all hegemonic powers of the Cloud Prefecture. So many of them came here just for the sake of killing a junior at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon. Yet, they still dare to speak in such a dignified manner? How shameless! Mu Yan, who was at the side, coldly spoke. He couldn't bear to see these hegemonic powers of the Cloud Prefecture acting so forcefully. It turned out that this black-clothed man was Mu Yan's master, the Sabersman of Death. However, even Mu Yen didn't know that the Saber Lord of Death was someone from the Heavenly Talisman Realm. The members of the Heavenly Talisman Realm weren't allowed to join other powers, but it was completely possible for them to recruit disciples. If the disciples were outstanding enough, they could even be recommended to join the Heavenly Talisman Realm. Isn't that normal? The Death Swordsman had a faint smile on his face. Master, do you intend to make a move? Mu Yen asked as he looked at the Sabersman of Death. You want me to make a move? The Death Swordsman asked Mu Yen. Master, you are a lone ranger. You don't care about offending these powers. If you can't protect this city, can you bring Qin Wentian away? It would be a pity for such a talent to die here. If you like him, you can even accept him as your disciple. Mu Yen had a faint smile on his face as he gazed into the distance. The Saber Lord of Death didn't reply, and at this moment the experts forcefully moved. Jiang Yi stood on a fearsome golden war chariot. The war chariot had a pair of wings, and there was a sharp spear in front of it. Just a single glance was enough to cause people to feel fear. Everyone, let's crush them from the sides. Jiang Yi arrogantly spoke, his voice shaking the heavens and earth. As the sound of his voice faded, rumbling sounds rang out as the war chariots of the Jiang clan started moving at the same time, speeding towards the Driftsnow city. A sharp golden light radiated from them, wanting to crush everything in their path. The runic light of the entire Driftsnow city began to flow. Chains, arrows, and golden walls erupted forth in a frenzy. However, everywhere the war chariots passed by, everything was destroyed. Other than this, the experts from the various powers all advanced from different directions, with the leaders of the major powers taking the lead. These leaders were all supremely powerful, and everywhere they passed by, everything was destroyed. It's over. The spectators in the surroundings of the ancient city all had the same thought in their hearts when they saw the shocking scene unfolding before them. This battle was finally coming to an end. Even if the monstrous Qin Wentian had borrowed the power of the ancient city to repel the Seven Swords Elders, under the iron hooves of the various tyrants, there was no hope for him. Most probably, this young genius was going to fall here today. Although the Driftsnow city was 1,000 miles in size, to these experts 1,000 miles wasn't considered anything at all. Not too long after, the destructive auras from all directions gushed towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian borrowed the power of the city, transforming into a 10,000-meter tall giant. He wielded a terrifying divine long spear and was clad in martial attire, exuding a lofty aura as he stood there, waiting for the experts to arrive. Many golden wings appeared in the ancient Driftsnow city. These wings fluttered about frenziedly, landing on Qin Wentian's armor. Not too long after, a pair of incomparably resplendent golden wings appeared on the back of Qin Wentian's gigantic body. Runic inscriptions shimmered on the wings as immortal light circulated around them. The edges of the wings were like incomparably sharp blades, capable of slicing through everything. Are they here? Qin Wentian mumbled. With an intention of his will, the 9 immortality bells transformed into a screen of light that enveloped his body. In his mind, there was a picture scroll that depicted the entirety of the Driftsnow city. Rumble! Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out as the earth trembled. With Qin Wentian at the center, the Driftsnow city started to reconstruct itself. Numerous pieces of golden earth that shone with incomparably dazzling runic light directly rose up, transforming into an impenetrable wall that separated the space within a radius of 100 miles. Countless stone walls rose up at the same time, isolating the space within. With a single glance, one could see countless floating golden walls. Many experts were obstructed by the stone walls. They frenziedly attacked, attempting to break through the barrier. I must obtain this city for sure. Jiang Yi stood on the war chariot, staring at the stone walls around him. His countenance was incomparably sharp as he drove the war chariot forward. The long spear on the chariot shone with a towering golden light as it smashed forward. Piercing sounds rang out as the incomparably sharp spear directly pierced through the stone walls, causing the golden walls to shatter apart. However, the weaker experts weren't so lucky. They formed groups of 3 to 5 and were trapped. Staring at the terrifying stone walls around them, they frenziedly attacked, but to think that they had no way to break through them. In a certain space, there were a few experts from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor. They unleashed their strongest attacks, slamming into the stone walls in front of them. Finally, with a thunderous boom, the stone walls shattered apart. Their faces were filled with excitement, yet they only saw an incomparably resplendent pair of wings directly cleaving apart the void, sweeping over. This beautiful pair of wings was like an indomitable blade, easily sweeping through the air. A few piercing sounds rang out as their bodies were directly severed, after which the gigantic silhouette of the battle heaven's immortal manor vanished completely. The experts outside the ancient city were once again stunned by this weaponized city. The central area of the Driftsnow city seemed to have completely collapsed. The ground rose up into the air, transforming into numerous heavenly walls that isolated this space from the outside world. These experts were like blind men. Only Qin Wentian's gigantic silhouette was flickering unceasingly, allowing them to see him clearly from the outside world. At this moment, they only saw Qin Wentian's 10,000-meter-tall body appearing in the air. He stomped downwards, causing a thunderous boom to echo out as he crushed the lives of countless people. Its wings flapped, and its huge body reached an unimaginable speed. An incomparably huge spear shot out from another direction, directly killing an expert. Very swiftly, Qin Wentian's silhouette appeared at the outermost boundary of the collapsed space, starting his massacre from behind. When the spectators outside saw every time his spear stabbed out, an immortal Foundation expert would die, they couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. They initially thought that this would be a battle of absolute annihilation, yet they had clearly underestimated the capabilities of this ancient Driftsnow city, as well as Qin Wentian. Zhang Yi and the experts from the Zhang clan as well as Reverend True Dragon had already killed their way to the center. They didn't see Qin Wentian's silhouette. They stared at the floating stone walls as a cold light flashed in their eyes. Reverend True Dragon. Only to see Zhang Yi turning his gaze to Reverend True Dragon as he spoke. Don't sit here and watch as so many experts die. Reverend True Dragon, who was still sitting in the dragon carriage, laughed. I will naturally do my best. After speaking, he stretched out his arm, abruptly transforming into an incomparably terrifying arm that blotted out the skies, wanting to destroy everything. Qin Wentian was currently killing his enemies when he suddenly discovered an incomparably gigantic arm grabbing towards him. His countenance involuntarily flickered as he stepped out, stabbing out with his terrifying long spear. The arm collided with the long spear, but it actually didn't shatter. It transformed into a fearsome true dragon that lunged towards Qin Wentian, terrifying to the extreme. Break for me! Qin Wentian roared in rage as he dashed forward. His wings blotted out the sun as he brandished his long spear, shooting towards the true dragon arm. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out as the true dragon arm exploded apart unceasingly. Reverend True Dragon stepped down from the true dragon chariot, his eyes flickering with a cold smile as he stared at Qin Wentian. Your life is mine. Reverend True Dragon spoke. At the same time, both of his hands stretched out as two true dragon arms grabbed towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's countenance was terrifyingly cold. He stepped out as thunderous rumbling sounds rang out. Boundless strength erupted from his body as his long spear pierced out with an unstoppable force. However, he only saw an arm of his opponent directly grabbing hold of the spear, allowing the spear to tear it apart. Reverend True Dragon abruptly pulled his body back and instantly appeared before Qin Wentian. He opened his mouth and with a roar of rage, he transformed into a 1,000-meter vortex that resembled the mouth of a true dragon, shooting towards Qin Wentian. The wings on Qin Wentian's back flickered as he directly closed them. At the same time, he blasted out with the vortex, forcibly blocking the attack. Boom! A resplendent golden beam of light shot over, akin to a bolt of lightning. The golden spear was extremely dazzling, piercing through space as it shot towards Qin Wentian's 1,000-meter body. Qin Wentian's gigantic left arm smashed out, slamming into the war chariot that was rushing over. With a thunderous boom, he felt a piercing pain in his arm. The silhouette of Qin Wentian Zhang Yi stepped down from the war chariot. There was a treasured wheel in his body that shone with resplendent immortal light. The wheel blasted out, destroying everything in its path, aiming for Qin Wentian's body. At this moment, Qin Wentian didn't have the time to care about anything else. He exerted force with his wings and borrowed the rebounding force to retreat with explosive speed. However, he only saw the treasured wheel slamming into him as a thunderous boom rang out, slamming into his body, tearing apart his fearsome defensive armor, leaving behind a trail of fresh blood. Qin Wentian retreated far away, only to see numerous figures shooting over. These were all the strongest Immortal Foundation experts. The weakest among them was at the 7th level. All of them were staring at Qin Wentian with disdain. Although Qin Wentian's body was 1,000 meters tall, under the circumstances where so many experts surrounded him, he still seemed extremely tiny. The immortal light radiating from all of them made them seem like towering giants. "Attack and destroy the city," Zhang Yi commanded. The war chariots behind him emitted rumbling sounds as they unceasingly attacked the ground. Long spears smashed through the ground, wanting to destroy the runic inscriptions of the ancient city. Once the runic inscriptions were destroyed, the power of the weaponized city would be severed. Upon seeing this scene, Qin Wentian's eyes turned extremely cold. He felt a sense of helplessness despite having the will to do so. Chapter 797. Although the weaponized city created by the Driftsnow Master and Immortal Jade was strong, he wasn't strong enough and couldn't unleash the full might of the weaponized city. This was why he was forced into a corner by these people. If the Driftsnow Master was still alive, how could he allow these people to be so arrogant? Most probably, he would be able to easily crush all of them. Unless one was at the Immortal King realm, who would dare to come here to send themselves to death? Although his body was gigantic, the experts surrounding him gave him an extremely strong sense of pressure. "You guys are truly fast." Reverend True Dragon swept his gaze over to the people in the surroundings. Although they were all tyrannical experts when compared to Qin Wentian, they were simply too insignificant. These people were the strongest batch and each of them had a combat prowess that could threaten Qin Wentian. "Qin Wentian, you and Sharon are good friends. Since you came here, we will do our best to protect you." At this moment, a voice drifted into Qin Wentian's ears. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. The person who spoke was an old man, an expert from the Wondergate Immortal Manor. This person transmitted his voice to him, telling him to head to the location he wanted. However, before this, Qin Wentian had already received Sharon's warning. How could he trust others so easily? Although Sharon was a disciple of the Wondergate Immortal Manor, the relationship between him and this senior wasn't that great. For the sake of benefits, why would he protect Qin Wentian? The probability was simply too low. One must know that they had an agreement that whoever killed Qin Wentian would obtain the weaponized city. "Senior is willing to help me?" Qin Wentian stared at the old man from the Wondergate Immortal Manor. After which, he directly stepped out, moving in the direction of the old man, as though he wasn't on guard at all. At this instant, the gazes of the experts all landed on the old man from the Wondergate Immortal Manor. "Many thanks, Senior." Qin Wentian lowered the long spear in his hand. His speed was extremely fast as he sprinted towards the old man, as though he truly trusted him. However, at this moment, an extremely cold light flashed in the eyes of this old man. When he saw Qin Wentian rushing over, his palm transformed into a terrifying furnace that radiated destructive flames. His palm seemed to contain a world of flames. Once the flames gushed out, it would be able to melt everything. The old man's figure flashed, and he went straight to Qin Wentian's huge body, his eyes bursting with killing intent. "Senior." Qin Wentian's expression changed drastically. It was as if he didn't know that the other party would suddenly attack him, and it seemed like he couldn't dodge at all. "How dare you?" The countenances of the other experts were extremely cold. They actually didn't attack Qin Wentian but chose to directly attack that old man instead. Reverend True Dragon's arms expanded explosively as he blasted out. Jiang Yi from the Jiang clan unleashed his treasured wheel, instantly arriving before him. The swords of the 7 sword elders shuttled through the air with lightning speed, aiming for that old man from the Wondergate Immortal Manor. There were also experts from the Battle Heavens Immortal Manor, Blood Flame Clan and Blazing Sun Divine Sect. That old man turned pale. He couldn't care less about killing Qin Wentian anymore as he explosively retreated. But everything was already too late. How powerful was Reverend True Dragon's arms? He directly grabbed hold of that old man. The sun swords from the Blazing Sun Divine Sect slashed downwards, as well as Jiang Yi's treasured wheel. Numerous tyrannical attacks blasted out at the same time. The destructive power of this attack was something that the old man from the Wondergate Immortal Manor couldn't endure at all. He inclined his head in despair, only to see a cold light flickering in the eyes of Qin Wentian. That old man from the Wondergate Immortal Manor let out a roar of rage. However, Qin Wentian's countenance was as cold as ice. If it wasn't for this old man wanting to kill him, how would he be ambushed by these people? This was what they meant by bringing disaster upon themselves. A gigantic pair of wings tore through the air. Qin Wentian stepped out, moving in the direction of the 7 sword elders. The long spear in his hand stabbed out, causing the entire space to tremble. Impudent! The countenances of the 7 sword elders turned ashen. This Qin Wentian actually chose them as his targets. Was he looking down on them? The might of their immortal foundations gushed forth as resplendent immortal halos radiated from them. Towering swords manifested in each sword was as large as Qin Wentian's long spear, exuding an unexcelled might that could lacerate everything. At the same time, a destructive sword might permeated the entire space. If there were first-level or second-level immortal foundation experts in the surroundings, they would most probably be slain instantly. The terrifying true dragon arm slashed over. Qin Wentian's countenance was incredibly ugly to behold. He blasted out with his palms, clashing against the true dragon arm. Borrowing the rebound force, his wings flapped furiously as he retreated backwards. "Do you think you can escape?" A cold voice rang out. The shadow of a war god appeared behind the old man from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor. He blasted out 1,000,000 palm imprints in rage, pressing downwards. Qin Wentian lifted his palms and attacked. Countless palm imprints blasted out, slamming into Qin Wentian's body, causing him to plummet downwards. The old man from the Bloodflame clan left behind a blood-colored mark on Qin Wentian's body. The mark continued to extend, seeping into Qin Wentian's armor. Jiang Yi's treasured will tore apart Qin Wentian's armor and body. They attacked Qin Wentian just like how they dealt with the old man from the Wondergate Immortal Manor. In just an instant, despite Qin Wentian's defense, he was still slammed into the ground as fresh blood flowed from his body. Numerous beams of light flashed. Those experts in the air frenziedly attacked Qin Wentian, not giving Qin Wentian any time to catch his breath. They had to kill Qin Wentian in a single blow before they would be satisfied. Qin Wentian stood up. Boundless runic light circulated around him as countless chains soared up into the air. However, they couldn't block the attacks of those experts. "Your life is mine," Reverend True Dragon coldly spoke. His body abruptly expanded, expanding to a size of 10,000 meters, resembling a malevolent-looking demonic dragon. His incomparably gigantic frame directly shot towards Qin Wentian. Scram! Qin Wentian roared in rage. His long spear pierced up into the air, blocking his opponent's attack. However, it was useless. The attacks of the other experts arrived as well. After a series of rumbling sounds, Qin Wentian's entire body trembled violently as he coughed out fresh blood. His gigantic body was on the verge of collapse. From afar, outside the ancient Driftsnow city, there were people who sighed in their hearts when they saw this scene. Qin Wentian was an outstanding talent of his generation, but in the end, he was still going to fall here. Sharon and Pei Yu were both here. Their countenances were pale, silently hating their helplessness. Mu Yan stared at his master beside him as he spoke. "Master, do you really not intend to act? Since he didn't leave, I'd rather believe that he has his own trump cards. If not, could it be that he would just wait for death here?" The Saber Lord of Death crossed his arms in front of his chest, appearing extremely calm. He believed that those who could enter the heavenly talisman realm wouldn't be ordinary. He also believed in the judgment of the person who recommended this person. If one wasn't a demon-level genius, they wouldn't be able to enter. The 5th astral soul required a violet gold astral soul. Given the current situation, how can we reverse the situation? Mu Yan shook his head and sighed. At this moment, Qin Wentian was forced to the ground once again. He was half kneeling on the ground as he inclined his head, his eyes gleaming with a fearsome light. "I don't wish to try," Qin Wentian coldly spoke, his words causing the countenances of those people to stiffen as they stared at Qin Wentian. "Try? What else could he try? Since you guys want this ancient city so much, I will grant you your wish. Go and converse with the Driftsnow Master." Qin Wentian spoke. after which, he closed his eyes as the bell chimes abruptly rang out, causing the entire Driftsnow city to tremble. What does that mean? The countenances of everyone changed. Converse with the Driftsnow Master? Could it be that the Driftsnow Master hasn't died yet? You guys destroyed the blood, sweat, and tears of the Driftsnow Master. Since you want this city, why don't you converse with him directly? Qin Wentian spoke again. The bell chimes continued ringing. His eyes were tightly shut, and after which, his entire person seemed to have lost all signs of life. However, boundless streams of light flowed unceasingly towards his body, causing rumbling sounds to echo out. That terrifying body of his grew even taller, becoming even more terrifying. In the air, the 9 immortality bells flickered in and out of existence. It was as though each and every bell contained a terrifying stream of light that flowed towards that body. Rumble! That terrifying body continued to grow taller, from 10,000 meters to 15,000 meters. What a shocking sight. And it seemed like this wasn't the end yet. What's going on? Those experts were all stunned. A body of 10,000 meters was already considered extremely gigantic. What concept was 10,000 meters? It was like an ant standing in front of them. And now, that body of Qin Wentian's was growing even taller. An ancient aura gushed forth from that body as an ethereal voice drifted through the air. Who dares to destroy my city? This voice sounded as light as the wind and clouds, yet it directly covered a radius of 1,000 miles. Even for the people outside the Driftsnow city, they could hear it clearly. At this instant, their hearts violently pounded. Who dares to destroy my city? Who was the lord of this city? It was none other than the legendary Driftsnow Master. As the bell chimes rang out, snowflakes drifted down from the sky. All of a sudden the sun vanished. Clouds and mist churned as the coldness permeated the air. Snowflakes descended from the heavens, appearing so suddenly. A drawn-out sigh drifted through the air. That towering body stretched out his hands, catching the falling snowflakes. How many years has it been? An ethereal voice drifted over. That towering body inclined his head as his eyes abruptly opened. That pair of eyes were so clear, and his countenance seemed to have changed. It was no longer the countenance of Qin Wentian, but was replaced by another handsome countenance. On that handsome countenance there was sorrow, desolation, and longing. It's really the Driftsnow Master. The hearts of everyone shuddered. Qin Wentian was actually able to summon the Driftsnow Master? In that case, where was Qin Wentian right now? Those attackers initially prepared to kill Qin Wentian. But at this moment they all halted, staring dumbfoundedly at the towering figure before them. It was as though he didn't have the heart to fight. He was still in a state of longing. Every single snowflake, are they your tears? Peiyu mumbled. Staring at the silhouette of the Driftsnow Master, her eyes turned a little dazed. Her silhouette slowly walked towards the silhouette of the Driftsnow Master, entering the ancient city. That legendary character had really appeared, right before her eyes. The Driftsnow Master turned his gaze over, staring at Peiyu only to see Peiyu continuing. Every time the bell chimes, it's the time I miss you. Is all of this real? Chapter 798. The eyes of the Driftsnow Master flickered with a look of deep reminiscence. He stretched out his left hand as his arm extended outwards. Peiyu slowly walked towards the palm of the Driftsnow Master. To think that after so many years, there would still be people who remember me. The Driftsnow Master retracted his hand. To him, the distance of 1,000 miles was just a matter of stretching out his hand. Peiyu stood on the palm of the Driftsnow Master, staring at his handsome countenance. Tears involuntarily flowed from the corners of her eyes. Of course I remember. I knew that the legend would be true. You truly didn't lie to me. Peiyu had been moved by the story of the Driftsnow Master and Immortal Jade for many days and nights. She had always imagined what sort of character the Driftsnow Master was, and today, she actually saw him in person. He was just as she had imagined, handsome, yet filled with an innate sorrow. Boundless longing could be seen in the center of his brows. This was just like a dream, yet it felt so real. Thank you. The Driftsnow Master stared at Peiyu as he sighed heavily. He didn't know how many years had passed, but Peiyu let him know that in this world, there were still people who knew of his existence. And from Peiyu's eyes, He could see a kind of emotion that came from the depths of her heart. Rumble! A muffled sound rang out. The drift snow master stepped out. His gaze swept over the silhouettes in the surroundings as a supreme might flickered in his eyes. That gentle countenance of his abruptly turned extremely sharp, exuding a terrifying coldness that caused the experts from the various major powers to feel a sense of suffocation. "You guys want to destroy my city?" The drift snow master spat out. His voice instantly rang out a distance of millions of miles as a powerful pressure caused this entire space to be filled with a terrifying pressure. The gigantic palm of the drift snow master stretched out, grabbing towards the experts of the Jiang clan who were riding on the war chariots. The countenances of those experts turned pale as they drove their war chariots in a frenzy to flee. However, the gigantic palm blotted out the sun. There was no way for them to escape. With a single grab, they were directly trapped in the palm of the drift snow master. When the palm of the drift snow master opened his palm, golden fragments flowed out as the silhouettes of those experts vanished without a trace. The leader of the Jiang clan, Jiang Yi, trembled violently. Those war chariots were all created by the blood and sweat of the Jiang clan. This time around, they were sent here to suppress Qin Wentian for the sake of seizing the weaponized city. However, in just an instant all their efforts were wasted. Just a single grab from the drift snow master was enough to shatter them into pieces. This scene was simply too tragic. Reverend True Dragon no longer had any arrogance on his face. In the Cloud Prefecture there were many legends circulating around. The legend of the drift snow master was merely one of them. As time passed, other than the drift snow city of the Zhongling country, the people of the other regions didn't pay much attention to him. However, this legendary character truly existed and appeared right before his eyes. He was so powerful that it was unfathomable. No wonder he was able to leave behind a legend that circulated through the ages of time. The Seven Sword Sect, Bloodflame Clan, Myriad Sage Academy and the other major powers all shuddered like cicadas in winter. That 10,000-meter tall figure of the drift snow master, with a single stretch of his palm, he could extend it so far that it could blot out the sky. Such terrifying strength was something they had no way to contend against. It wasn't something that could be done with numbers alone. Before absolute strength, it was useless no matter how many experts there were. "Can you tell me what happened?" The drift snow master lowered his head, staring at Peiyu in his palm as he asked. "Amicham." Peiyu nodded heavily as she started her narration, starting from when Qin Wentian communicated with the 9 immortality bells. And just as Peiyu was speaking, the experts behind her silently retreated, as though they wanted to leave this place. However, the drift snow master calmly stated, "No one is allowed to leave." This voice seemed to contain a formless pressure. And as expected, no one dared to act recklessly. All of a sudden, an expert from the Myriad Sage Academy radiated a terrifying spatial fluctuation. He actually wanted to use a spatial treasure to leave this place. With the appearance of the drift snow master, he knew that he didn't have the ability to obtain the weaponized city. In fact, even his life would be in his hands. Naturally, he had to leave. "Humph," the drift snow master coldly snorted. Just at the instant the expert disappeared, the drift snow master blasted out a punch in the air. As this punch blasted out, the space within 1,000 miles trembled violently. A muffled sound rang out as that expert who was fleeing suddenly appeared several hundred miles away. He was about to vomit as his countenance turned pale. The spatial teleportation was actually forcefully interrupted. A single punch from the drift snow master caused the entire space to become unstable. When one's strength reached a certain degree, one could directly destroy the spatial teleportation. Such might cause the spectators in the surroundings to be shocked. Those who had the same thoughts instantly dispelled that thought as their countenances turned incredibly unsightly. "I've said it before, no one is allowed to leave." The drift snow master's arm expanded explosively. His gigantic palm shone with a terrifying treasure light, as it blasted towards the fleeing expert from the Myriad Sage Academy. As this palm landed, that expert only felt despair. His entire body trembled violently. There was no way for him to escape. As for using brute force to resist, that was simply akin to smashing a rock with an egg. The palm imprint smashed over, and with a dull sound, that expert's body was directly shattered into pieces. A powerful character with a 7th-level immortal foundation was destroyed just like that. His body and soul disintegrated. After killing this expert, the Drift Snow Master retracted his palm as though nothing had happened. He continued to quietly listen to Peiyu's narration. Time flowed by bit by bit. To those around the Drift Snow Master, time seemed to pass extremely slowly. It was as though every second was torture, causing them to be in extreme agony. Why would the Drift Snow Master appear here? Where did Qin Wentian go to? After a long time, Peiyu finally finished speaking. The eyes of the Drift Snow Master flickered with a faint smile as he spoke, connecting immortality through forging a weapon, ascending to immortality with a single step. I initially thought that it would be extremely difficult to achieve my requirements, but who would have thought that today, there would be someone who could easily accomplish it. Forging a divine weapon, using the immortal execution platform, fighting against so many experts. This Qin Wentian you speak of can also be considered half a disciple of mine. If he can achieve glory, it wouldn't be a waste for me, the Drift Snow Master, to roam this world. But where did he go? Peiyu glanced at the surroundings. She didn't see the silhouette of Qin Wentian. According to what you said, he should know that he wouldn't be able to contend against these people. Hence he communicated with the 9 immortality bells, drawing my soul as well as the power of the Drift Snow City, allowing me to temporarily control this illusory body. If I leave, he would appear. The Drift Snow Master replied. That calm voice of his caused the hearts of Peiyu and the others to tremble. Qin Wentian actually took such a huge risk to summon the Drift Snow Master. If the Drift Snow Master had evil intentions, wouldn't it mean that he wouldn't be able to return? In that case, would you still disappear? Peiyu stared at the silhouette before her as pain flickered in her eyes. Her heart was suddenly filled with contradictions. She didn't wish for the Drift Snow Master to disappear, but she also didn't wish for Qin Wentian to be unable to return. Naturally, he passed on his legacy to me, allowing me to roam the world once more. I'm already very grateful. How can I possess his body? After he comes out, please thank him on my behalf. Tell him to work hard in his cultivation and not let me down. But Peiyu's countenance was filled with pain. Tears actually flowed down from her eyes again. She stared at the magnificence of the Drift Snow Master as boundless longing filled her heart. However, she had no way to continue speaking because it was impossible for her to say that she would give up on Qin Wentian. The Drift Snow Master stretched out his right hand, placing it before Peiyu. A single finger of his was larger than Peiyu's, wanting to wipe away her tears, yet he stopped himself. If Immortal Jade loved me like you, she wouldn't have embarked on this path of no return. The Drift Snow Master retracted his hand as he sighed deeply. He placed Peiyu in the air and turned, staring at the experts gathered here. His eyes flashed with coldness as he spoke. I used my life force to refine this city. Destroying it is equivalent to destroying me. Unforgivable. As the sound of his voice faded, the Drift Snow Master blasted out with both palms. The experts here all trembled violently as they fled in different directions. Zhang Yi's countenance turned pale. He had long informed the Zhang clan leader, and they were already rushing over. But at this moment the Drift Snow Master actually wanted to kill them. An incomparably terrifying palm imprint blasted over. Zhang Yi roared in rage, "Stay your hand!" However, how could the Drift Snow Master care about him? The palm imprint slammed down, directly killing Zhang Yi on the spot, showing no mercy at all. Reverend True Dragon also sped away, his stature reaching a height of 1,000 meters. However, the palm imprint of the Drift Snow Master explosively expanded once again, manifesting numerous palm imprints that slammed into the air. Reverend True Dragon's countenance turned black as he let out a roar of despair. He was an illustrious hero, cultivating for tens of thousands of years to reach his current level. But now he would be buried here. Bang! A powerful palm imprint smashed downwards, instantly killing Reverend True Dragon. The Drift Snow Master didn't stop there. His palms continued blasting towards the other experts. No matter where they fled to, the palm imprints of the Drift Snow Master would always be able to catch up to them. As the sounds of explosions rang out, those unexcelled characters of the Cloud Prefecture were all killed on the spot. The scene of the battle was so tragic that it could shock the world. In the blink of an eye, only the Drift Snow Master and Peiyu remained in the ancient Drift Snow City. Snowflakes fell unceasingly, bringing with them a sense of desolation. as well as a hint of killing intent. The spectators outside the ancient city stared at the gigantic body of the Driftsnow master, as they silently sighed in their hearts. Such a character was actually willing to die for the sake of a beauty, using his life to refine a city. He would rather die than betray his beauty. What spirit was this? If it wasn't for the Driftsnow master's supreme talent, ordinary characters wouldn't have such spirit. In his heart he wanted the world to be famous, he wanted to become a supreme expert. This point could be seen from his words earlier. If Qin Wentian shone brilliantly, he wouldn't let him, the Driftsnow master, roam the world. But even so, he still severed all thoughts of survival and chose to be buried in this city. Who would be willing to destroy this city? My city shall be inherited by Qin Wentian. Whoever dares to covet it, as long as the soul of my Driftsnow master isn't destroyed, I will never spare him. A voice thundered out for millions of miles, shaking the entire Driftsnow city. Chapter 799. As the sound of the Driftsnow master's voice faded, the crowd was still immersed in his magnificence. But all of a sudden, the space trembled as the heavens and earth changed color. It was as though an apocalyptic might enveloped the area. From the void an incomparably terrifying long spear appeared, penetrating through space. This long spear shone with divine light and was thousands of meters long, containing boundless might. It directly pierced towards the Driftsnow master, akin to a bolt of lightning. Who? The hearts of the crowd trembled. There was actually an expert who dared to act against the Driftsnow master. The Driftsnow master inclined his head and blasted out with his palm. A fearsome gigantic palm imprint circulated with a fearsome divine glow, slamming into the long spear, causing it to break apart inch by inch. Finally, it was completely destroyed. Your city will never belong to you. Qin Wentian, I will definitely kill him. A voice thundered through the skies, as though it was challenging the Driftsnow master. As the sound of this voice faded, a few silhouettes appeared outside the Driftsnow city. The person in the lead radiated a resplendent light that illuminated the heavens. The immortal light radiating from him was so blinding that it caused people to feel an impulse to prostrate themselves on the ground. Immortal King. The Driftsnow master murmured. This expert was actually an immortal king character, possessing shocking strength. It's the immortal king of the Jiang clan, Jiang Zhuqing. Someone recognized this person as shock filled their hearts. An immortal king from the Jiang clan has arrived. Naturally, this was also within reason. Jiang Yi was the son of Jiang Zhuqing. He would definitely inform Jiang Zhuqing when he encountered danger. Hence Jiang Zhuqing personally came here. Given his cultivation base at the Immortal King realm, traversing across vast distances to arrive at the Driftsnow city from the Jiang clan, it only took him a single battle. Boom! The Driftsnow master stepped out as a towering light radiated from him. Rumbling sounds echoed unceasingly as his 10,000-meter body grew even taller. He stretched out his hand, stretching out for a radius of 1,000 miles, enveloping the entire space. With a muffled sound, the people outside the Driftsnow city only felt a supreme pressure boring down on them. They actually couldn't move at all. It was as though as long as the Driftsnow master willed it, he would be able to kill them on the spot. This gigantic palm naturally shot towards Jiang Zhuqing. Jiang Zhuqing's countenance drastically changed. What a powerful law energy. Even for him, he couldn't help but admit that he was inferior. The Driftsnow master must have been a supreme expert before he died. Boom! Boundless resplendent light erupted forth from him, incomparably sharp. Jiang Zhuqing's silhouette flickered as countless long spears pierced through the air. At the same time, he himself directly retreated into the air. When the palm imprint of the Driftsnow master caused the entire space to tremble, Jiang Zhuqing's silhouette was already high up in the air. Driftsnow master, although you are strong, you can't do anything to a soul body. If you leave this city, it would be a path of death. You have to return your life to him eventually, and at that time, that would be the time when both of you die. Jiang Zhuqing coldly spoke, the killing intent in his eyes intense. He had no idea what had happened before, as Jiang Yi had made the decision himself. It was only when Jiang Yi was in danger that he asked about the matter and learned of everything. The Jiang clan had actually suffered such heavy losses because of an ant-like member of the junior generation. You are truly confident. The Driftsnow master stared at the air as he spoke with cold arrogance. You can stay in this city forever, but I can stay here forever, Zhang Zhuqing said coldly. If you dare to say that again, I will make sure that you will never forget this for the rest of your life. The eyes of the Driftsnow master flashed with a powerful threat. So what if I say it one more time? I will take Qin Wentian's life no matter what. If I can't obtain this city, I will destroy it. Zhang Zhuqing stood in the air as he arrogantly spoke. The Driftsnow master didn't reply. He inclined his head and stared at the sky. The heavens and earth rumbled as the earth trembled. He stared at Pei Yu and asked, "Do you know where the clan of this man is located? I've seen the map of the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture before." Pei Yu nodded. "Don't resist my will. Transmit everything you know to the forefront of your consciousness." The Driftsnow master spoke. After that, a strand of immortal sense directly entered her mind. Pei Yu closed her eyes and transmitted everything she knew to the Driftsnow master. An instant later, the Driftsnow master obtained the information he wanted. He cast a deep glance at Pei Yu as he spoke in a low voice. "After Qin Wentian wakes up, tell him that this city can be moved." As the sound of his voice faded, the entire Driftsnow city started trembling. Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out, as though the heavens and earth were collapsing. The entire city that stretched for thousands of miles actually uprooted itself from the ground and floated up into the air. The ancient Driftsnow city could be moved. Bum. The hearts of the spectators from afar pounded madly. They stared in shock at the Driftsnow city as it slowly rose up from the ground. Below the city, a pair of wings that blotted out the sun could be seen. It was like an incomparably gigantic bird flapping its wings that could blot out the sky. This bird and its wings were naturally formed from runic inscriptions. Everyone stared in shock at the rising city as the shock in their hearts grew to the extreme. This city created by the Driftsnow master and immortal Jade wasn't just a stationary city. This city was created by me using my own life force. Whoever dares to destroy it, I will definitely make him regret it. Let me say it one more time. This city is already in the hands of Qin Wentian. No one is allowed to covet it. The Driftsnow master's voice shook the heavens. Boundless runic light flashed, and after which, a beam of light shot out, penetrating through the void in a radius of 10 million miles. At the end of the beam of light, the spectators could see a vast land, as well as many other cities. They turned their heads and stared in shock at the scene before them, feeling their hearts trembling. What is he doing? The hearts of the spectators trembled. The beam of light continued to project itself into the air, frenziedly searching. Finally, it landed in the middle of a vast ancient castle. This ancient castle exuded an incomparably majestic aura, and there were countless experts within. However, at this moment, many experts turned their heads and stared in the direction of the beam of light as their bodies trembled violently. The immortal king of the Jiang clan, Zhang Zhuqing, was also trembling. He stared fixedly at the Driftsnow master as he asked, "What are you doing?" "I've said it before, I will make you regret it." The eyes of the Driftsnow master flickered with an incomparably tyrannical sharpness. After which, he lifted his palm and blasted out towards the beam of light. In an instant, his palm seemed to have penetrated through the beam of light, directly slamming into the other end of the space. In the airspace above the fortress, a gigantic palm imprint appeared, smashing downwards, instantly reducing an area of 1,000 meters into dust. No. Zhang Zhuqing's eyes turned red, his countenance as pale as paper. Earlier, he who was unexcelled in the world and threatened to kill Qin Wentian and destroy the Driftsnow city was actually trembling in fear. On the other end of the beam of light was his Jiang clan. The Driftsnow master directly projected his power into the base of the Jiang clan, forcefully destroying it. "I didn't want to commit the sin of killing, yet you actually wanted to threaten me. Even if I'm already dead, I won't allow juniors like you to be so impudent." The voice of the Driftsnow master was as cold as ice. His palm slammed down once more, and the Jiang clan appeared as though it was the end of the world. The destruction of the Jiang clan continued, and in just a few breaths of time, the entire Jiang clan was reduced to dust. This scene caused the spectators to feel as though they were in a dream, as though everything was surreal. The hegemonic power of the Cloud Prefecture, the Jiang clan that had been so powerful for so long, had it fallen from its divine pedestal just like that? In fact, was it completely annihilated? This is the true ancient Driftsnow city. The city that the Driftsnow Master and Immortal Jade used their lives to refine. Everyone stared at the resplendent ancient city floating in the air. This city far surpassed their imaginations. Qin Wentian had no way to unleash its true might. At this moment, the magnificence the Driftsnow Master was radiating truly caused everyone to feel the aura of a supreme character. The immortal king of the Jiang clan, Jiang Zhuqing, threatened the Driftsnow Master? Even if I'm from the ancient era, I'll still make you regret your entire life. This short moment was enough for Jiang Zhuqing to remember for the rest of his life. Arg! Jiang Zhuqing let out a low-sounding roar. Even for an immortal king, when he saw his clan being destroyed like this, he felt so much pain that he wished he was dead. Staring at the crazed expression on Jiang Zhuqing's face, the spectators didn't know what to feel. That was the Jiang clan. Back then, wasn't the weaponsmithing madman Jiang Chao also a supreme character? He founded this clan, and although it declined, it was still considered a peak power of the Cloud Prefecture. But now, in the span of a single night, a single mistake had turned everything into history. The impact of this was extremely intense to the spectators. I'm going to destroy your soul and destroy your city. Jiang Zhuqing let out a low-sounding roar. After which, a terrifying spear of darkness appeared in front of him. At the tip of the spear, a terrifying black vortex could be seen, as though it contained a terrifying power of annihilation, capable of penetrating through everything. Boom! Jiang Zhuqing clearly knew that his strength was inferior to the Driftsnow Master. But at this moment he still stepped out and attacked. In just an instant, he arrived before the Driftsnow Master as a 10 million meter long spear of darkness pierced towards the head of the Driftsnow Master. The eyes of the Driftsnow Master flashed with coldness. His body was incomparably gigantic, and a divine glow erupted from his palms as he blasted out once more. The entire sky turned golden, with him as the center. A dazzling golden light circulated in the air. His palms that contained law energy also turned golden, and terrifying runic inscriptions flowed within them, triggering a fearsome law energy. The spear of darkness collided with the palm imprint. The terrifying vortex of darkness seemed to be able to penetrate through everything, unceasingly destroying the palm imprint. But when the spear slammed into the palm of the Driftsnow Master, Jiang Zhuqing could clearly sense a supreme might within it. Break! The Driftsnow Master coldly snorted. Cracking sounds rang out as the 10 million meter long spear shattered into pieces. The palm of the Driftsnow Master continued blasting forth. Jiang Zhuqing's countenance turned ashen. His body shone with a boundless sharpness as he continued penetrating through. Another heaven-shaking collision rang out. The palm of the Driftsnow Master violently trembled, but Jiang Zhuqing's body was flung through the air. However, an instant later he returned, his aura fluctuating as he stood in the air, staring at the Driftsnow Master. If I don't die, I will definitely destroy your soul, destroy your city, and kill your successor. Jiang Zhuqing was completely enraged.